The delegation, Mr. Sarnecki, is with us today and will be sharing our panel on strategies for the Russian opposition. Let me also, of course, welcome Mr. Kubilius, who shares the delegation to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly and also is the AFET Standing Rapporteur on Russia. And he will moderate the first part of our discussion on human rights and the narrowing of civil society space in Russia. Before I present the panelists, let me briefly say why we are doing this event. Firstly, we want to discuss the situation in Russia 1 month before the presidential elections on the 17th of March. They will, of course, not be real elections as we understand them, free and fair, with a level playing field for candidates, which voters informed by free and objective media in an environment of freedom and respect for human rights. What we actually see instead in today's Russia is censorship, propaganda, the leading voices of the opposition in jail or forced to emigrate, and harsh repression of political dissident and of any sign of opposition to the war of aggression against Ukraine. However, these so-called elections are still an important element of the political developments in the country. And therefore, of course, we are very interested to hear your insights. Secondly, we want to express our support for the Russian democratic opposition and for the people who dare to challenge the anti-democratic and authoritarian Putin regime, often with great personal risk. In today's Russia, this could mean persecution and a broad range of punishment measures, from being poisoned or put in jail on decades-long sentences, sent to penal colonies in the Arctic, to being isolated, fired from work, censored, or pushed to leave the country. It is therefore very important that we have a regular political dialogue with Russian democratic forces and fully support them. Our conference today is part of that commitment. It is also important to note that sustainable peace in Europe requires the transformation of Russia into a democracy. We need a strategy to get there, and we do hope that you could contribute to this. We have today several high-level, interesting personalities from the Russian Democratic Forces who are here to participate in our discussion. We warmly welcome all of you. I would like to thank our speakers for your availability. Some I know who have traveled for quite some time to get here today. I welcome Natalia Arno to my right, President of the Free Russian Foundation, and to my left, Karina Moskalenko, human rights lawyer who won hundreds of cases at the European Court of Human Rights, as well as Vadim Prokhorov, to my, let's see, there, oh, perfect, to the left. Who is also a prominent Russian human rights lawyer who defended people like Boris Nemtsov, Ilya Yashin, and lately, of course, Vladimir Kara-Murza. On our second panel, we will have Vladimir Milo, Vice President of the Free Russia Foundation and former Vice Minister of Energy of Russia, and Leonid Volkov from the Anti-Corruption Foundation, former Chief of Staff of Alexei Navalny. as well as Sergei Boyko, elected deputy of Novorossiysk City Council, who headed Navalny's headquarters in the city. Yes. Finally, we also have Mariana Katsarova, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Russian Federation, and Luke Devin, Deputy Managing Director in the European External Action Service, dealing with Eastern Europe and Central Asia. A warm welcome. I hope I didn't miss any guests now. Good. I also see many MEP colleagues here. A warm welcome to you as well. And of course, we rely on you for some questions and answers. Before I hand over to our panel moderators, let me briefly mention how the discussion are organized. Each panel have 50 minutes. Moderators will make a brief introduction, and then we will give the floor to each panelist for 7 to 8 minutes. We will then have questions and answers session. Members present can comment and ask questions. Panelists will react briefly. We will give the floor to the public only if we have time. Hopefully, we will have that as well. With that, I warmly now give the floor to Mr. Kubilius, and I do hope that we will have a fruitful discussion.
Well, thanks a lot, Thomas, and really pleasure and honor to try to moderate this very important discussion, which is organized by DEC. I feel myself among really friends and community of those who believe in Russian democracy. Perhaps we are not still majority in Europe. I don't know how about European Parliament, but nevertheless, those are really the people with whom we are working exactly such a dream to become a reality. Because that is what Thomas have said, really, from my point of view, it's a basis for sustainable peace on the European continent. Without transformation of Russia, we shall not have that. Now the question is to know how much such kind of transformation can be influenced with those, forthcoming elections. I don't know. It's always a question how to name that procedure. It's good that you are using, those brackets or whatever. And I'm always remembering a very good description by Timothy Snyder in one of his recent books about the famous Russian, I would call famous philosopher Ivan Ilyin, who now is very much liked by Putin and Kremlin guys, who was writing his books back in 1930s, 1940s, when he was kicked out from Bolshevik Russia. But he was quite close to Nazi regime, and he was explaining how Russia, after will be liberated from communist regime, how it should be run. And as I know, Kremlin really now is reading his books and learning a lot. So I'm quoting from my memory Timothy Snyder, who is explaining what Ilyin was proposing. So Ilyin was saying that, well, elections in Russia are not needed, and here should not be elections. But each 4 years, there should be a procedure where people would come and show their loyalty to the grand leader. So this is how this procedure is organized in Russia. It's not elections. It's a procedure where even artificially they are trying, Kremlin artificially trying to show how people are loyal still to this regime. That is what I see as a basis of this exercise.
Hey yo.
Now the question is.
Hey yo,
really,
how are you doing? I'm not in the middle of my camera. Hello. How is life going?
For transformation, we can
I've got some good
procedure,
fire going.
which,
I'm really warm.
From legal point of view, we know very well. Constitutional amendments were recognized, which constitutional so-called amendments which
and be happy. It reminds me of that song.
Forever, new and new mandates.
Which
those
one?
Constitutional amendments, both by Council of Europe.
The Generation. where he says that you're so unhappy that you wanna shoot up the local store. You wanna steal shit from the Kapsa? But to calm your spirit, you read down, you read books about voluntary simplicity, basically. You choose to have nothing and you choose to be happy because of it. It's like a copium thing, isn't it? Oh yeah, I'm liking this life. I'm liking this life. It's not like I have a choice to live any other way, but I like the life that I'm living. Also, the reason I clicked on this video is because they're talking about Russia and I didn't really care. So I was like, you know what, for the intro, this is good enough. I couldn't care less about any of their views. I don't know if the homeless ones want to speak.
What we can know, why those so-called elections
but like,
still
I know the
matter.
answer to the question, and the answer to the question
Really,
is
we have seen some
no,
recent developments.
unless
Nadezhdin was bringing Nadezhda.
unless we
Russian
make
language
it matter
what I am saying.
by
But
fucking
that
up
hope was,
the
as I
situation.
understand, also
That's
destroyed.
the answer. Russian elections will not matter in the way that they will not change Russian society. They will matter if Putin decides to actually play 5D chess, which I don't think he is
please tell us, what is the benefit of that exercise?
willing to do. But if he starts playing 5D chess, and if he were to actually let Nadezhdin into power, for example, I do think that the elections would matter, because then we would be open to paying shit from Russia again. We would be open to funding them again.
Thank you to Mr. Kubilius
On any other matter, it is not going to matter. It will just matter in the way that in case of Putin making a really smart move, our relationship with Russia will change, and that could cause a problem. Anything else? Would somebody be interested? Oh, Europe is very interested, because we lie to ourselves. We're being like, what did Putin lose? There's lots of Russians going there to register for voting and taking selfies. What if Putin loses? So then it's like, do we open the path to Russia if he does lose? Do we allow them to come back to Europe? Come on. Yep. Get some Twitch money, I'm planning to donate it all, every single cent. Actually, I was thinking about who to give it to. I'm thinking of giving it to Rebecca. Rebecca is working in Avdiivka currently. Not Rebecca, wait, let me find her.
From hard autocracy to full-blown dictatorship. Russian authorities continue to expand and hasten already extensive and repressive legislation. This includes laws on foreign agents,
here she is.
censorship,
She's in
and other
Avdiivka
measures
currently,
to
so
outlaw,
that gets me really
silence,
worried.
and imprison people
I hope
who
she's doing
publicly
alright.
oppose the
She
current
hasn't
Russian
really been
regime.
too
This especially targets
active
political
on social
opposition,
media
civil
a lot
society
lately,
activists,
which is
independent
understandable
journalists,
because, you
human rights
know,
defenders,
she has
recently lawyers.
strong priorities
Some international
currently, like
organizations
trying to stay
continue to be
alive.
banned
So
through the
it's
undesirable
understandable.
legislation. My Free Russia Foundation was
But
among
like,
the
I'm
first
very
organizations
worried.
to be
She's
placed on
incredible,
this
and
soon-to-be
she works
200
really hard, and
undesirables
she's a
list.
great
And we are
source
among
of
two other
information too about
who
like
filed a
how
complaint
the med
against
kits
the Russian
work, and
Federation
which ones you
at
want to
the
be
European
donating
Court on
for,
Human
which ones you
Rights.
don't want to be donating for, which sort
I
of
had to flee
equipment
Russia
should be
in
going
December
into
of
them, what is
2012.
better quality.
Those were vegetarian
I've learned a
times
lot from
before
her.
annexation of
So
Crimea,
I'm
assassination
thinking
of
that I was
Boris Nemtsov,
thinking
and all
of
these
sea drones,
subsequent
but then I was
horrible
like,
events. So my last in-country voting was in March of 2012. Back then, my principles and my values didn't allow me to vote for anybody on that list, so I just
where's
spoiled
my
the ballot by
browser?
writing over,
For some
Putin is a
reason,
dictator, Russia will be free.
for some
Well,
reason, my
12 years
browser is
later,
refusing
Putin
to
is
like
still a dictator,
pop out the
and
Twitch
with
chat.
increased
Why
terms
is that happening?
and eliminated term
That's
limits,
illegal.
he's aiming to keep
No,
ruling
gifting?
Russia until
Romanova?
2036. Right after
Whoever
the
it is,
constitutional
Europe's gonna
coup
be
of
like,
2020,
Whoa,
Vice President
Russia
of
has
the Russian
changed their
Foundation
president.
and now political
Let's start
prisoner
paying
Vladimir
them
Karamurza
again.
started
Oh,
his
we should
campaign
start getting
for
their
international
gas again. They've
non-recognition
changed the
of any
president.
attempt by
Haven't you
Putin
heard?
to overstay
Russia
his term in
changed the president.
2024. Because that
I
referendum was
hear
a
they
sham.
are properly
European Parliament's resolution of
democratic
September
right now.
17, 2020 on the
And then
political
we're gonna
situation
quickly
in
start
Russia
buying a
poisoning
lot
of
of gas
Alexei
from them.
Navalny, drew
And then
the
I'm gonna be
inevitable
here in the corner
conclusions
being
that the
pissed
constitutional amendments
off.
in Russia were
Hey, yo,
enacted illegally.
Potito, thank you for the sub.
Later, that
Elections we
conclusion was
do.
reinforced
We have a super
by Europe's
election
top
year this year
constitutional
because
law
we're having
body,
elections
the
for
Venice
the
Commission.
European Parliament, but we're also having
In
elections for the
2021, Mr.
proper
Kubilis and other
parliament, the one
rapporteurs
that
drafted
matters, the Croatian
first
one.
Russia report.
Interestingly,
Where
they still
also
haven't started with the
obviously
pre-election
legitimacy was,
campaign, so I'm kind of sad about that.
enumerated and
I thought they would
outlined,
start very early. I
after
guess
the
the
full-scale
budgeting
invasion,
issues
we
aren't
remember
really
that
doing
European
that well.
Parliament and many
And also we're
national
having
governments
some
recognized Russia as
corruption-related
state sponsor
scandals.
of terrorism.
So it feels
Last
like
October,
everyone's
the
waiting
Parliamentary
for the
Assembly of
situation
Council
to
of
kind of
Europe
calm down
adopted its
before
resolution
starting
number
the proper campaign.
2519.
It
Where
makes
the
me
key
feel kind of
reasons why
sad,
the
you
current
know. I
president
was
of
always
Russia,
having
Vladimir
fun
Putin, shouldn't
with
be
their
recognized
stupid
as
little promises and
legitimate
everything.
after the
No, it's
re-election
not promises.
in
You're not getting
2024
promises.
were
You're getting,
outlined there. The
we're
same
gonna be
conclusions
better
were
than the
made
other
in the
guys.
report
Oh, the other
by
guys
Mr.
are
Omczyk,
corrupt, and we're gonna be so
earlier
much
that
better
year.
than the other guys, you know?
But despite all
They're
those
very, very
reports
corrupt,
and
and we are not.
resolutions, here we are.
It's not
in
because we
2024,
are,
February 14,
you know, not
2024.
in the position of power, so we
With an
can't be
indicted
corrupt in the
criminal
first place.
by the International Criminal
It's like when you
Court
speak to children, you
for
know?
war crimes in Ukraine.
And they're like, oh
running
yeah,
again
if I was the
for
president, I would
presidency in
never be
Russia.
stealing money. Bet
The
you would.
most fraudulent
Bet you would.
elections
I would.
yet will be in a
I would.
month. But we don't need a
Like,
crystal
if
ball
I gained
to
the
predict
position
the
of being
outcome.
the president, or
Vladimir
like
Putin
politician,
will win
of
with
high
a
rank,
landslide,
or of any case,
cement his
I would most
stranglehold
definitely
on
be
the
corrupt
country,
to a certain extent. Okay,
and
let's
portray
not,
his
let's not lie to
predetermined
me.
re-election as an endorsement
I would be
of the war
corrupt.
in
You would be
Ukraine.
corrupt. Now, the rate of corruption does matter,
Legitimacy
of course.
is a cornerstone
But,
of international relations.
yeah, I don't know. All of
Besides
these arguments
permanently
of like,
unfree
oh,
and
this party
unfair
is very corrupt,
elections,
we wouldn't be that
unconstitutional
way.
amendments,
It just doesn't
usurpation of
hit
power,
properly, you know what I mean?
elimination of
It doesn't
opponents,
hit well.
very often physically, absence of media freedom,
What a shame.
repressions.
Oh, what
On
happened?
top of all that, there is an ongoing war in Ukraine.
I have to be
Violence,
copying.
brutality,
Oh, by the way, I
war
saved
crimes,
a bunch
and
of links. I saved a
conducting
bunch of
elections
links
in the
to show
temporarily
ya.
occupied territories of independent Ukraine, including with forced
Let me do
passportization
this.
of Ukrainian citizens. For all of
Oh, I
that,
could have just clicked
Putin
here.
shouldn't be given what he wants the
And then
most,
clicked here.
legitimacy. Instead, the more appropriate place to discuss him would be The Hague.
It works, I guess.
Change, unfortunately, won't come to
French
Russia
flag,
quickly.
how dare you? I am
But change can
personally
start
insulted.
going up
No,
its
these
way
are my Croatian
when good
glasses
people
and I
stand
found
up to
them
the
and I was
evil
like, oh, cute. I forgot
and
about
declare
this.
that what is going to happen in March is not acceptable and not
Got
legitimate.
my Croatian little shits.
The sadistic system
We're not playing any
built
football
by
right now. I
Putin,
kind of want to be cheering.
robbing its own people of dignity and hope and threatening
Says,
humanity,
I'm
with its
translating
nuclear
from
saber
English.
rattling,
No,
has
you're
been
not.
erected and strengthened for 25
No, you're not, baby.
long
That's why
years.
it's taking you so long to translate. It's
system
not
grew stronger.
English.
With the growth of energy prices, with Russian exports to Europe, with the invasion
Is it
of
easier
Georgia
now
in
that you know it's not
2008
English?
and Ukraine
Oh, let
in
me just click here.
2014, with every
He's
vote
trying so damn
stolen,
hard.
with every
Ukrainian
activist
and the
in
Russian
prison
escort
or
got
killed,
into fight in Italy.
with
Oh,
every
it's
policy
reported both
reset
are on call
or
for a
compromise.
57-year-old client.
With its
They had a
senseless, brutal
conflict.
attack on
Ukrainian
Ukraine,
attacked the
with its
Russian,
all-out
beating her
repression
and
against
taking
Russian
her wallet
society.
with
Putin's
440
regime
euros.
is still
Ah,
vulnerable
GG.
and very
GG,
fragile.
good luck, good luck. They should do
And
this all
yet,
the time.
when the regime
They should do
falls,
this all the time, okay?
it won't be the
That's
day
what they
for
should
us
be
to
doing. Just
celebrate the triumph of
take their
democracy.
euros,
It will be
take
just
all
the
of their
beginning of a
assets
long,
while they are abroad,
painful,
okay?
grueling process
That
toward
money,
democracy.
how do you know she wasn't going to
The March
use it to
elections
like fund the
cannot give us
drones
a
that
new
the Russians
leader.
are using to attack your
All
cities?
viable
You didn't know she
opposition
wasn't
leaders
going to use
have
it.
been brutally
It's a Russian, you
and
never trust them.
unceremoniously sidelined.
Proper
Some, like
patriot
Boris
of
Nemtsov,
Ukrainian nation. Thank
assassinated.
you. Thank you.
Some, like Alexei
Oksana.
Navalny, Ilya Yashin, Vladimir Karamurza, imprisoned.
Cheering every time we
Others,
decide to
like
show the
Ekaterina
glasses and put them
Dontsova
back there.
or
I
Boris
don't want, they're so
Nadezhdin,
cute.
simply not
They're so
allowed
cute.
to
They're the
run.
best glasses ever. We need to
Neither
be
can
playing
March
some football so I
election
can be like
allow
cheering.
Russians express their disapproval of Putin and his policies.
It does. Oh, Valentine's Day
Virtual
was yesterday.
elimination of
That's true. That's true.
institutional
How was
election monitoring
Valentine's
in
Day?
Russia leaves
I got
no
nothing.
witnesses to fraud. March elections won't do
Yeah, my
many
boyfriend's
things that we hope for.
like 30
They
kilometers
will not
away.
end the war
I
in
got
Ukraine.
nothing. I
Will
got
not free
nothing. I
Ukrainian
was sad.
POWs and
I
civilian
mean, I wasn't.
hostages, including children.
I got some
They
free
will not release
chocolates.
Russian
I
political
had
prisoners.
to work.
Putin requires
And then
more
people
and
would
more
come
violence
to the
to
store
keep
and they
his
would be
hold on
like, what did
power.
you get for Valentine's Day?
But
And I
there
would
are
be like,
some things that the upcoming presidential elections in Russia can
So I
and
got
will
some free
do.
chocolate.
They will keep time, reminding
There's
Russians
little, like,
just for how
I don't
long
know,
Putin
the
has
alcohol
usurped the
ones,
power. To many young Russians, they will remind
cherry
that they
alcohol
have
one.
never lived
I
under
got
any other
those. I got a
president.
bunch of those.
They will keep score,
Core
reminding
Battle
Russians of
Royale
all
event.
the election promises that
Oh,
Putin has
whose
broken,
horse will
starting,
win?
of course, with the promise of peace,
I
stability,
really want to
and
say
prosperity.
Hungarian,
They will put
but
the
it's because
spotlight on
in my
Putin
head the
himself.
image of a
His
Hungarian woman
campaigning,
is a woman who's
rehearsed
like 2
and
meters
staged,
tall and at
highlights his
least
disconnect from
200
reality.
kilograms.
His complete
Hungarian
failure
women are like
to respond to
strong.
demands of Russian
Those are
people
some
and his
strong
failure
fucking
to
women.
offer a
If
positive
Orban
vision.
ever decides
That's
to
why,
actually create
if
the
we want
greater
a better
Hungarian to
Russia,
invade our lands,
we
he's
must
gonna
keep
send the
time,
Hungarian
just
women to
opposing
invade,
the political and
and we
economic
won't
progress
stand a
achieved through
chance.
change of leadership
We will not
in
stand
many,
a
many
chance. They're
countries
going to
all
topple
across
us
the globe
over
over these
immediately.
long 25 years. We must keep score,
What?
explaining the cost of
The
Putin's crimes
priest
to every Russian
championships?
in lives and prosperity.
What is
And we
that?
must promote our vision of a normal
What do they
Russia of the
compete
future.
in? The priests?
Putin is the
What's
war.
there to compete in?
We must challenge Putin's false claim to legitimacy. The first purpose of the European Union is peace.
I'm
It's
getting
only
some
logical if Europe
Damien
doesn't tolerate
dude.
the warmongering dictator, acts accordingly, and doesn't recognize his legitimacy. Please show us that the only acceptable alternative for you
It's because
is
of
a free and democratic Russia,
the misspell part.
represented by
Makes sense,
political
makes sense.
prisoners, by
Clericus
people who bravely resist inside Russia, and by
What
exiled
is that?
pro-democracy
Oh, the
anti-war
European
Russians.
woman is still speaking in the
An
background.
old Chinese proverb says, the best time
The goal
to
of the
plant a tree
League
was
is to
20 years ago.
reinvigorate the traditional
second best
sport in the
time
Christian
is now.
community.
The best time for
Oh,
Europeans to support Russian democracy was
oh
20 years ago.
man! Oh, they got
The
results
second
until
best time is
2021.
now. Thank you.
Whoa!
Thanks a lot, Natalia.
Priestly
Really for
World
very
Cup.
strong
I
appeal.
had no
Now
idea
I am
that
turning immediately to
existed.
Karina Moskalenko, a human rights lawyer. 7 or 8 minutes. I will try to
7.
control.
Since when?
Dear ladies and gentlemen,
Why
dear
Clericus
colleagues,
Cup
dear friends.
this year?
Usually I'm
They're showing me
reading
they're showing me
text,
the proper
but
ones, and I
know
wanted the
rules
priest
are
ones.
very strict here,
I wanted the
and I will try
religious
to be
ones.
in time. 7
Hey, by
minutes
the
is
way,
not
today's
too
date.
much.
Listen, you
I
have to know
to
about today's
follow
date, okay?
what
I
have
looked
prepared,
it
and
up,
then I will be
February
ready to
15th. You know what
answer
it is?
questions.
You know what happened
So
on
usually
today's date?
all issues of
125
elections
years
are
ago. You know what
examined
happened?
regarding the
What
situation
happened
of
is
democracy in the
Russians
country
have
and
officially
political
started
regime. It's
the
a very
oppression of
political,
Finnish people.
subject. At the same time,
Today's date,
the situation
125
of the
years
election
ago,
process,
the Russian Tsar
in
has
the
signed
country
the
has
February
very
Manifesto,
strong
which has
legal
taken away the
aspects.
autonomy
The
of the
fairness
Finns.
of the election,
That's what happened.
the
They had, look at this,
regularities,
there's a really impressive image.
equal access to the elections, and if these
No, I think I have to
standards
Google
have not
the
been respected by the state
Russification.
authorities,
Oh no, I can
free
Google
and
this too. I
easy
can Google this
access
too.
to the
Nice, nice.
judiciary, and
I
finally
have to show you one very
recourse.
impressive image.
As
Kind of sad,
human
but also
rights
relatively
lawyer,
impressive.
still practicing
This is
in
the Great
Russia,
Petition. The Great Petition was signed
I
by
will
Finns at the
today
time because they wanted
address
the Tsar
only
to
the
not start
purely
oppressing them
legal
as peoples.
issues.
Of course, he didn't listen, but they were like, "Hey, let's try to like
legislative,
collect all of our
framework
signatures,
governing,
so the
elections
Tsar
in
would have
Russia
to be
was
look
largely
into
created
them,
up to
and then he would
2002.
understand that
The
his people
electoral
don't really
system at
want
that time
to be
was fair
oppressed
and
by
quite
the
balanced,
Ruskies."
with
Of
only
course,
one
didn't want.
critical point
But an interesting
regarding
thing too that I
access to
saw,
the mass
I
media,
found it to be
which was
really
the subject matter of our
found in
first
a way. Where
complaint
is it
on
written?
the election
I
matter
don't
to the
know. It's not
European
here.
Court
Oh,
in
here it is.
2005
One of the most
concerning the
prominent
elections of
demonstrations
2003.
against the manifesto was
Unfortunately,
bringing flowers to the
time,
memorial statue
the
of Alexander
European
II,
Court
because
concluded
Alexander
that
II
insofar
was
the
the grandfather
media
of
in
Nicholas
Russia
II.
were
So the
independent,
idea was like, oh,
ostensibly,
we're gonna bring
and
flowers to the
self-controlled,
memorial of the man who is seen as the liberator of Finnish
therefore,
nation.
the
And, you know,
unequal
Russians can't
access
stop
to
us
mass
from bringing
media
flowers to
did
his
not
memorial
engage
because he
the
was the grandfather of the
responsibility
current
of the
Tsar.
state.
So
It's
they
very
can't, you know, they
unfortunate
can't stop us
but
from worshipping the
several
dude.
years
And truly, the
later,
police couldn't stop
we
them from worshipping the
successfully
dude.
brought to the
But
European
there's
Court
just something
the
so
other
sad
case,
about the fact that
Davidov
Finns
and
saw
others,
a
many
Russian
others,
as the
versus
liberator of
Russia
their nation.
concerning the elections
Like,
of 2011. The
My
European
man,
Court
my man,
recognized
that's like,
mass
World War II,
infringement
when
of
Croatia
legislation,
saw the
mass
Germans as
falsifications
liberators of our
made in
nation, and then it
favor
turns
of
out they
the
just wanted to
one
use us for a while,
party,
and then
ruling
also wipe
party,
us out.
so-called
It's
United
very
Russia,
reminiscent of
as
that.
well as lack of due
Fine, you
process in
can't
respect of the
lie bad with dogs.
complainants against these falsifications
Oh,
and
Olya,
even the
drawing a face
persecution
with flag in
of the
background.
protesters.
She's wrongly shaped
Specifically,
face,
the
and
court
by law she
found
sits
the
in Europe
following violations.
and
First of all,
toxically hates
shift
in Ukrainian
votes
internet,
in
like why are
favor
you not
of
in
the
French?
ruling party.
Oh
Discrepancies
damn!
between the
Oh, I didn't know
initial
about
real
that
ballots
one.
counts and official
I didn't know about
results
that meme.
of the
Never heard of
election.
that one, but
Lack of
holy shit.
transparency, inadequate reasons for recount and
Liquid
procedural
vibrators.
irregularities, which compromise
I'm not
the
googling vibrators, I'm
legitimacy of the
googling Lukacs.
election results. Exclusion of opposition parties from the
He's
recount
a-
process. Ineffective review mechanism.
He's
and
a
so
TikTok
the domestic
user.
authorities failed to
He's a TikTok user.
provide the effective mechanism to examine the
He's a
alleged
fucking TikToker.
discrepancies at the
Okay,
national
great.
level. In sum, the
Great.
recount
That's
and casting
amazing, I guess.
process,
60,000
doubt on
followers on
the
TikTok.
impartiality of the electoral administration. To
Lord, I am your
conclude,
donkey.
the European Court identified
Oh,
this
the Europeans
typical,
talk in the background. The Europeans
systematic
talk in the
and
background with this woman.
systemic violations
They're talking
highlight
about Russia.
critical weakness of the
Russian oil
electoral
refineries catching
process
fire.
that
Yeah,
represented
they
breach
caught
of the
fire, and then also
fundamental principles of
one of
democratic
Russian ships got
elections.
promoted
This
to a
is an
submarine.
illness of the electoral
Well, I
system
googled the liquid vibrator
diagnosed
just now.
by the European Court. It was a very
Oh, it's a gel?
important judgment. But unfortunately,
Sensations due
the
to vibrate.
European Court passed this judgment
Sensations
only
due
in
to vibration waves. How does it make
2017.
vibration waves?
Sometimes this court is very slow, after the next elections had already taken place. Notwithstanding,
How does it make the
this
vibration
judgment
waves?
remains important. Why? The European Court examined the mechanisms and patterns of
it can't make vibration
mass
waves? It's a gel.
falsification
How does
of
it
the
make the
election
vibration?
results. And what is equally important, brought to light the inability
Oh,
of
it's just a spicy
mechanisms
gel,
to
apparently. It's a
identify,
spicy
to
gel, that's what it is,
recognize,
doesn't
and finally to solve these problems at the national level. And finally, Russian
lotion-like
authorities
formula designed to
have
increase
never
blood flow to your genitals.
implemented this
That's just a
judgment. What does
spicy
it mean?
gel. That's just a
means that
gel.
the
Have you never tried
illness,
those gels? Buy those
sickness
gels.
of
I
the system
bought one of
remain
these
in
gels
place.
once on accident. Didn't know what it
execution of
was.
this judgment,
It was later I learned that like when you buy Durex shit, you have
would
to
address not only the
look at the
specific
side of the packet
incidents
to see
of
what's
the
actually in the
case,
box.
of this
Because from the
case,
front they
but
look the
also
same.
lay the
I thought it was just
groundwork
like the basic
for the
ones. No, it was the
more
gel
rubbish
bullshit.
and transparent electoral system
Those
in the
things are
future.
just.
Implementing the
It's
recommendations
overpriced.
of the Committee of Ministers.
Nothing
who is
really. Just get
responsible
yourself
for
some
all the
massage oil or
executions
some
of
crap.
the,
You know what I mean?
European Court judgments. Requires efforts by the governmental bodies,
Oh, it's a very
electoral
toxic meme.
authorities, political
understandable.
parties,
The
and
big guy
civil
lost
society.
his human rights
Generally,
case.
the
Oh, the one where he
international
claimed he was being
community to ensure
mistreated while
that
in prison
future
for mass
elections
murder.
truly reflect the will
There
of
was-
the people,
there was,
free of the irregularities and
An interesting
bias.
thing to do.
But it is only about
It's weird he was even allowed to like
time in future.
go anywhere with it. Really.
What
Kind of weird
can
he
be
wasn't
done
just left out
now?
of wherever he appeared. You know what I mean? I feel that was the response that we deserved. Just him being like, guys, my rights are being abused, and everyone going, and that's that. Olya UA. Oh. Oksana. Oh, that one. Oh, I maybe saw this one. For the most part, the lexicon consists of the same questions. Why not in the trenches? Why not in the front? Why don't you demine the fields? Why not the state mine? She expresses indignation with the words disgust, betrayal, evasive, out of time. Mom. Oh, so it's just about people who like go online and then spam. Her husband is hiding from mobilization while she is calling others to the trenches. Oh. Okay, understandable. Oh, it's typical Ukrainian woman's name? Oh, nice. Belgorod? I don't care level deed personally. I don't really care. I know that... Oh, wait. Copying the link of the US Congresswoman. I know that Ukraine didn't confirm it. And until they confirm it, I'm going to be sussed out. Know what I mean? I don't really trust Russians on that word. And I know they don't really like Belgorod that much. So I'm not really, I'm not fully on board with the idea Ukraine did it. Especially like as Ukraine was really, really successful with blowing up the oil and then blowing up ammo and then blowing up ships. You know, and then I'm supposed to believe that they hit a mall? A shopping mall? Why would you hit the shopping mall? In Belgorod? In Belgorod even, you want to hit Russians where it hurts, you want to kill some people in like Moscow, whatever. Belgorod, they don't care about Belgorod. They would bomb Belgorod themselves if they had, you know, the possibility to, without the international community going, They don't care about Belgorod. So I'm not really sure if I'm buying into the idea of them doing this, to be completely honest. Valentine in Telegram with picture of Olya and text, you are least disgusting to me. Didn't they bomb Belgorod? Russians at one point, yeah, when it was attacked by...
Well, thanks a lot.
What was the name of the group? Volunteer Corps, Russian Volunteer Corps, yeah. They don't really care about it. Why would Ukraine go and like hit Belgorod if it wanted to kill a bunch of civilians? You're not gonna kill the civilians in Belgorod. Russians don't care about civilians in Belgorod. You know what I mean? But also,
Good afternoon.
you know how when Serbia started the war in the Balkans? Serbia started the war in the Balkans, and they came and they were attacking Slovenians, and then they were attacking Croatians, and then they were attacking Bosnians, and then they were attacking Kosovars, right? And you know then when they got hit by NATO, I feel similar sense of like, you just got what you created in this situation. You know, it's like, all of this evil that you have pushed into the world, it's coming back to you. So I can't really care, to be completely honest. I can't really care that much. I feel it would be weird to care almost, because we're getting news of people in Ukraine getting bombed daily and people dying daily. You know, it's a horrifying thing, and then I'm supposed to care more about when people die in Russia, because somehow it's like a horrible thing to hit Russia, the country that started this war and started this invasion. That's a horrible, horrible thing, but when they hit Ukraine, then we're like, oh yeah, that's expected. It feels like hypocritical in a way, so I don't know, I don't really care. But genuinely, until Ukraine confirms it, I'm gonna be a little bit sussed out, but even if they did do it, yeah.
This is not so. In fact, the political regime in Russia sometimes is very sensitive.
Mellow them down nicely, they're due for another one. I assume Kosovo is feeling rather unsafe lately. Cetas, did you see that Ceta's son was in Kosovo? What's his name? He has a name. I don't know his name, but he was threatening Kosovo recently. So look, it's like a generational thing. Okay, every generation of that family has to do war crimes somewhere, and now it's his turn. So we'll see.
And in April of the last year, of 23, he has been sentenced to.
Russia kills people in Ukraine every day, and Ukraine can never do any eye-for-eye attacks. Yeah, it's like that. It just isn't fair, and especially in the current situation, like Ukraine was worried about attacking Russia directly, because then there was danger of the West not supplying them anymore. But the West is already failing we're already failing. The countries that support Ukraine right now, the countries that are the most help to Ukraine, they would be of help even if Ukraine starts hitting Russia. Right? The countries that are on the verge, they're already failing. Why would you hold yourself back for countries that still can't decide whether you're worth their aid or not? I'm not really seeing it. And if the news are true that we are getting about Ukraine making a lot of new fancy drones, by all means, use every single one of them. I hope Russians are terrified in their basements. If anything, maybe that pushes them to, go for a revolution and stop this. Wait, what did I copied a link and then I forgot which one I copied. Oh, this one, USA Congresswoman?
I wanted to show you Representative Victoria
Sparks, who was
born in Ukraine, a Republican from Ukraine, who is making the case against the aid to Ukraine. Even though she says she is still personally in favor of aid, she is against this aid package because, well, reasons. Let's see.
So you don't think that Ukraine needs any aid from the United States?
We need to have weapons, not slush funds. We need to have, but we also need to make sure that this...
Okay, so let me be clear. The bill in question, the majority of the I think it's 20 billion on restoring our own stockpiles, and then like 13.7 or 13.3 on the Ukraine Security Initiative, which means the money isn't a slush fund in the way that we're just giving them a bunch of cash. It's here's the money. You have to spend it on American weapons. So they will then, after being given their price, like 13 billion, they look through what they could buy and they say, okay, we want to buy this, we want to buy that, we want to buy that from American manufacturers. That's not a slush fund. I think it's what, like $5 billion or $7 billion in actual like stuff to help keep the government afloat, since 65% of their budget again is on the military right now, but very little is like how she's describing. The Europeans are the ones that are promoting most of the financing. They're the ones that are providing that. We are the weapons provider. And hell, I would even make the argument that this bill, to be quite frank, and I've said this since the start, even though we've shifted off of it as we're scared that even this bill could fail, is pretty milquetoast in the amount it gives the Ukrainians in weapons. I think it should be increased. Definitely, since the future of Ukraine aid seems to be in peril, at least when it comes to what the MAGA movement would do if they got their way.
Weapons go fast as a deterrence, not go to a lot of associated causes and slow walk the aid. We've been slow walking aid now for almost 2 years. Putin digged in, mined the fields. We now have a serious situation over there, destabilizing now Middle East, who pretty much teamed up with Iran, China, and North Korea, and really causing a lot of headaches. I think we need to be smarter, and we're not doing that.
You said, so Ukraine does need aid. They need weapons. You don't want to see it slow walked. Does that mean then that...
To be clear, Ukraine aid has already been slow walked, and American credibility has already been damaged, as nation states are questioning exactly what our interests in the region, even though I don't think that there was some big conclusion done by all of the people engaged in statecraft, all the experts, or all of the national security officials, or that all of Congress came together and decided Ukraine aid is a lost cause. The majority of Congress people still support Ukraine aid. This is decision atrophy. And the thing is about decision atrophy, if it looks like we can enter it, then it's not a question of America acting within its own interests. And this is part of the reason why I think the realist worldview is reductive, because these type of internal mechanisms are usually painted over. If a nation state thinks that there's like a 50-50 chance we might just enter decision atrophy, if they were to probe into a NATO state during the Trump presidency, considering his previous comments about abandoning NATO and Russia doing whatever the hell they want, or they think that if they were to push against one of our allies, we might enter decision atrophy as Congress debates and delays any action, then that could motivate them to test American resolve, not only in Ukraine, but elsewhere as well. This is how people talk about how Taiwan could possibly be affected by the breakdown of deterrence. Because if the United States is unwilling to confront a semi-failing Russia that's face-planting in Ukraine for the better part of 2 years, then how are they going to confront Who knows how successful Chinese military trying to blockade the island of Taiwan and slowly strangle it. So, just throwing that out there.
That you want House Speaker Mike Johnson to put a vote on the floor for Ukraine aid very quickly?
No, this is not as...
By the way, I'm only using Taiwan because it's the usual example. I think that the impact would probably have
this man is worse with playing videos than I am. Genuinely.
Strange Pains 25 has donated $5. LMAO, is the Hamas caucus serious?
What do you
Russia
mean
is
it's
hemorrhaging
not?
young people. Hard to
I've
field
been
an army
waiting
of
to
old
hear.
pensioners because that's all Putin is going to have left the way.
The way things are going. Well, both the Ukrainians and
I've
the
been
Russians
waiting
have
to
a
hear
pretty
her
high
position
average age for their armed
for like
forces.
half
For
an
the
hour.
Ukrainians, it's actually in the early 40s. Now, some people see this and they've concluded that like Ukraine's killed all of its youth or something in the war. And I think that the only reason you can come to that conclusion is if you don't understand Ukrainian demographics. The Ukraine went through a
Going
demographic
crazy, otherwise
collapse,
I understand that.
much like the rest of the post-Soviet
understand
war
that, my dude.
world after the Soviet Union's
Start using
collapse,
threads.
which led to them having a lower birth rate, which means that Ukraine is a very
That's what fixed
top-heavy
me.
society. A lot of people in their 40s, 50s, late 30s, in this age range during
Nah, he's
right
like very
before the
knowledgeable.
Soviet
I think
Union
it's okay
collapsed.
when he pauses.
Since Ukraine is facing that demographic
I'm just
issue,
genuinely
they have put in a ton
interested
of exemptions
in the
for young
woman's
people.
opinion,
People
and I
between
can't
the
hear
ages
it.
of 18 to 27.
Hey, yo,
Now they're
Jones.
talking about a mobilization law that's going to move it from 18 to 25. That's the type of reforms they're doing. They're actually making it so they include more and more young people in the draft pool. They introduced these exemptions for things like students and just things that get young people exempted. There's other exemptions for if you have children. If you don't have kids, you're much more likely to get drafted. And then when you get up in age, you're more likely to have your children age out, become 18, going off on your own, therefore more likely to get drafted. The Russians also have a very high average age for their soldiers as well, especially since they've been very hesitant to mobilize the general population or get rid of the exemptions for a lot of their youth as well. For example, exemptions for students. And that would be probably pretty unpopular.
Bill, this is a slush
Understandable.
fund for a lot of causes that President Biden, has all around the world, where we have a mess right now, like giving $1 billion from Ukrainian aid to Yemen.
$60 billion for Ukraine. Do you think you...
Again, they say $60 billion for Ukraine. I wonder if I gotta keep clarifying this. 20 billion of this is literally just replenishing U.S. stockpiles. So when we say 60 billion to Ukraine, 20
like
billion of this is
40.
also just replenishing stuff that we had sent over and replacing it with newer stuff.
Ukraine could use...
So like, that's another thing that baffles me about this. Oh, we're just saying all this overseas. A significant portion of this is literally replenishing our own stockpiles. In fact, I would argue that maybe that money should maybe go to something else. But point is, like, it's not a slush fund for Ukraine.
But you need to understand. But let me tell you, let's just read. And I haven't, listen, I haven't read this particular package, and I'll be open-minded, but I've read all other ones. Most of the stuff it says we're going to send to Ukraine and associated causes. A lot of causes around the world. A lot of this money don't even go to weapons. 10 to 20% generally go to weapons directly earmarked for Ukraine.
Again, this is deceptive because it makes it sound like 80% of it, or like 50% or a very high percentage, is just going to be cash sent to Ukraine. Again, this is a lie. I think of the 60 billion,
she
I think
seems so confusing to me, but it seems like, you know what she seems to be doing? It's like she thinks Republicans are blocking this bill not because they are genuinely ideologically against aid to Ukraine, but because they are worried about where the money is going. She seems to be one of those people who want to soften the deal. It's like, let's negotiate with Republicans. If we make it more clear where the money is going, when it's already very clear where the money is going. But if we make it more clear where the money is going, maybe then they will actually support this. Maybe then they will be okay with this. Come on. Come on. That's all I'm getting from her right now. It's like, oh yeah, we shouldn't jumble it with all of this, and we shouldn't we should be clear where it's going, because some money will be stolen. I mean, you never know in these situations. Okay, look, I'm a very realist when it comes to corruption. There's always some amount of corruption, some number of war profiteering going on. generally you want to be arresting these people as often as possible. And I think Ukraine has been doing rather well when it comes to that. But you're always going to have people war profiteering. In just wars and in unjust wars, if you help, if you don't help, you're gonna have people doing war profiteering. The best thing you can do genuinely is introducing proper inspections of this, and when they do pop up, you do want to be arresting them as soon as possible. So you want to have good investigative journalism and stuff like that, which also I think Ukraine has been relatively good with. But it feels very delusional in a way. It's like she's trying to bribe them into supporting this, and it's not going to work. How does that branch? Weird it doesn't already exist. Weird we don't have one in Russia too. She's Republican. That explains a lot. That explains a lot. It's like her nature of being a piece of shit is now in conflict with her country of origin, and she's trying to create a level to connect these two, and you can't really, because by being a Republican in today's day and age with Trump running around, you can't already subscribe to being a horrible person. There's really no way around this. Hard to be corrupt about weapons as opposed to cash or something more liquid. Here's what I think. I agree with that. I agree it's harder to be corrupt about weapons. Here's the problem. We're talking about Republicans. Republicans have recently believed that stolen weapons that were supposed to go to Ukraine, that stolen weapons were seen. What was the coup where they believed they were weapons from Ukraine? They see random conflicts around, and they see weapons being used in these conflicts, and they're like, oh, these weapons, this is what USA sent to Ukraine, but it got stolen, and then it was given to these people, right? Even though it is realistically harder to be corrupt when it comes to, stuff like this. It's harder to solve them, of course, and it's way easier to do inspections of this. To a Republican, the truth doesn't matter. They don't care about the fact this is harder. They care about the fact that they ideologically are opposed to helping Ukraine. So they're going to make it up. They're going to see some war. They're going to see Serbs attacking Kosovo, and they're going to be like, "Ooh, this is happening with Ukrainian weapons. Here's the evidence. This dude here, he has a gun. That's the gun that USA sent to Ukraine." And then other Republicans are going to be like, "Oh, horrible, horrible, horrible," and then they will vote against aiding Ukraine. It's not truth that they are after. It's just not helping Ukraine. Wait, I had something else. I had lots of things that I wanted to click on, but that's kind of what I'm getting. That's just kind of what I'm getting. She's being very deluded.
It's only
in her views of
$5
Republicans.
billion that's actual financing. $20 billion is replenishing U.S. stocks. 13.7 or 13.4 is the actual Ukraine Security Initiative, where they can use that to buy weapons from the United States. And this has been held up since, again, September of last year. The fact that she hasn't read this bill and she's already stumping against it on CNN is also pretty embarrassing, I have to say, especially since she's accusing it of being full of things that it really isn't.
So I haven't read this bill that it passed. I don't want to comment, but if it is the same with every other bill we passed, I have a problem with that. Because ultimately, we're not going to, deter Putin with blankets, only with weapons. We need to have America.
I do need to throw out there that if Ukrainians aren't alive, and they can't shoot the Russians. I'm going to throw out, so things like humanitarian aid do matter. Now, there is more of an issue when it comes to the reselling of humanitarian aid in Ukraine. It's a real corruption issue. But again, the majority of this is not humanitarian aid. You made it sound like a very small percentage went to weapons, but that's just because this bill also includes a bunch of aid to other things, like, for example, Taiwan and Israel, which, as far as I know, she also supports. So I don't know what the point she's trying to make there, outside of trying to be misrepresentative with the numbers.
I'm reading his chat, and there's this one dude, Billendens, and he's talking about how there's some anti-war influences in Russia, and he saw no fuckers talking about this. Just all right, you saw no fuckers talking about this, yeah. I'm expecting that man didn't misrepresent it. Let's say it like that.
Numbers.
American weapons
He's in
produced
Portugal?
here sent directly
Who the fuck
to
allowed him in
front lines
European
with proper
Union?
oversight and strategy, not slow
Where
walk
did
that
we
aid,
allow a
because
Russian
we're
in
dealing
European
with very
Union?
You're
aggressive
slow walking the aid right now.
people that causing a lot of headaches around the world, and a lot of people are dying.
Causing a lot of headaches. I wonder what I want when I
She
hear
said
the
it
Polish Prime
previously
Minister
already, it was
saying
weird.
shame on the Republicans. When I see Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian MPs, former British prime ministers, the German chancellor coming over to the United States trying to slap sense into the
Hey, yeah,
Republican Party
Dionysus.
with no progress, you're saying that it's caused. Well, what do you think is causing the chaos here? When you see that happen, how do you interpret that event?
Check out, I have Croatian glasses. Look at this. You have to look at this. How are you guys doing? How was the stream? Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. I wish I could afford to move to Portugal by making money from crying about how hard life is for Russians. Did he though? Like, he genuinely moved to Portugal? I thought it was a meme. He genuinely moved to Portugal. Didn't he... Is he allowed a visa? Are we allowing visas? Is it because he wanted to move permanently and it's not like a temporary one? Why are we allowing visas? How does that work? Who do we give residence to? He got a visa. Oh, yeah. Is it because it's like a permanent stay and not a temporary one? Because for a temporary one you can't get it because it's seen as a tourist one? Or just vis GG for Russians as of this point? Because I remember him talking about how he has to go to Georgia because he can't really go anywhere else but to Georgia. And now he's in Portugal, which is not really the same thing as Georgia. You know what I mean? But all right. Yeah, we were looking at American politics because they have this one Republican who's Ukrainian and she's calling against aid to Ukraine. So we wanted to look into what she thinks, and Portugal and Georgia are fortunately not the same place. Unfortunately, sadly, not the same place. But almost. You know, Portugal is our Eastern European brother officially. So he's, well, not really geographically close to Georgia, but he's culturally close to Georgia. It feels like home. It feels like home. Wait, opinion on how correct the meme is? At the countries. Please behave. I will take you to Disneyland. Balkans. I will sell you to the gypsies if you don't behave. Yeah. It very much is. Look, it's Balkans. We have our fair share of problematic humor. This is our fair share of problematic humor. Yeah, it is a thing. It is a thing that my parents would use on me when I was a kid. So, yeah, like you scream a lot as a kid or whatever. They're like, oh, we're gonna sell you. We're gonna sell you. just to scream. And then you usually have these like little trucks going around that are usually driven by Romani people, and they are getting, what's the word? Iron? They get like old stuff and then they go and resell it, yeah, basically to earn some cash money. And then junk. Yeah, junk basically could also be a way to say it. So I used to be terrified of these when I was a kid, because I thought they're coming to pick me up if I was, you know, not doing well. So, yeah, the meme is proper. Mara? 8.5% alcohol in beer. Is that not disgusting? I still can't understand it. Someone one time in the stream told me that they're drinking beer that had like, what was it, 10%? How do you people drink that? I swear to God, how do you people drink that? Because I drink like 4 to 5 ones and they're nice and cozy and chill. How do you drink the strong ones? Traditional values?
Солдат сейчас очень на низком уровне. Полагаюсь на вас.
Есть верховный главнокомандующий. Ну что, бойцы, как бы в бой, вперед. Ох, ладно, каждый раз одно и то же. Ух, не дадим разрушить наши традиционные ценности и духовные скрепы.
Такой, какой есть, и меня не сломать. И все потому, что я русский. Я иду до конца.
have to show you, I mean. They did the icon one.
Моральный дух
They did the icon. Wait, I have to show you the meme. I have to show you a meme. I have to find it first. And then I have to show it to you. This one? I have way too many links saved that I want to show you. Oh, here it is. Come on. Icon kissing? Oh, it was. Oh, it was. I did not see that coming. But, I mean, look, proper. If they threw a little explanation that it's not actually gay because he didn't consent to it, that would have been. So yeah, I'm glad we're all aware of which exact part of that culture this is referring to.
That have been said about you. Okay. Crazy. Q clown. Looney Tune. Unhinged. Moron.
I've got a few more. Osama bin Karen. A dipstick. A dingbat. A dolt. A dullard. A dimwit. A doofus. A dummy. Dumbass. I'm only a third of the way through the D's.
Looks like the average troll in my Twitter feed.
A good argument for misogyny. Nazi wine mom, Nazi cave woman, just Nazi.
Oh, I don't let name calling bother me or offend me. I
That's
just
Butterbrain. This one's from someone across the pond. A daft wanker. That's British for stupid. Lives on a diet of glue sticks. A lower level life form.
I don't really care.
Can I speak to the manager Barbie, meth Barbie, Nazi Barbie? Again, just
Is this
Nazi.
a real clip? Because I pray it is.
Low IQ anon.
It doesn't seem to be because like the light is different. But I hope so much. I hope so much it is. She had a thing today. I saw a clip of her. Do I have that one saved? I don't know if I do. Where they asked her because the British foreign minister wears a hat for government people, but he called for USA to help Ukraine, and she said that he should be caring about his own country before commenting on other countries. A foreign affairs minister whose entire job is to be doing foreign affairs. She's like, no, care about your country first. Bitch, what do you think he's being paid for? That's not how it works. Oh shit, I clicked on this. I clicked accidentally on the same link like 3 times.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Oh.
I found it to be
I'm
very
not clicking on that.
and trustworthy. I was able to
I'm gonna save this fucking video, by the way.
get a sense of his soul.
I'm gonna save this
I
video.
wouldn't have invited him to my ranch if I didn't trust him.
Every time people are like, oh, the West actually hates Russia. The West hated Russia all of this time. I'm gonna show them this.
In the international community since the 11th of September has been remarkable. I mean, we have cooperation today that would have been really unthinkable just a short time ago.
Der sehr freundschaftlichen Zusammenarbeit zwischen Russland und Deutschland, die vermutlich...
Just by the way, I gotta point it out to you. The global levels of Islamophobia rising at a time, in a way played into our ignoring of Russia killing Chechens. They knew this. They played directly into this. They were presenting themselves as some sort of a global, fighter against the Muslim extremists. So we allowed them to kill Chechens. We just completely fucking ignored it. There were some very, very weak calls for Russia to stop killing Chechens. And this was basically just us setting diplomats over and being like, hey, Russia, please stop doing this. And Russia being like, we'll think about it. And then nothing ever happened because, again, they were presenting themselves as like fighters against the Muslim extremists. So, when you think they care about Palestinians a lot, maybe consider their intentions.
Die Zusammenarbeit zwischen Russland und Deutschland, die vermutlich nie so gut war, wie sie jetzt ist Vertrauen.
I am confident that this new level of cooperation between NATO's members and Russia will now change the world and for the better.
Поэтому предлагаю с этого момента штаб-квартиру НАТО переименовать в Дом Советов. Думаю, что это неплохое предложение.
I will declare that to be a joke.
Do I trust him? Yeah, I trust him.
Russian heavy guns were firing at Georgian positions inside Georgia.
Buildings are burning from the last airstrike, and people are warning that the Russian Air Force may soon be back.
I brought with me today a big delegation of British business, all with an interest in expanding their trade with Russia.
We seek a significant and sensible approach to economic development across our continent, and to that end will now be closely interconnected for decades to come.
J'ai trouvé un homme très au fait de ses dossiers, très calme, très intelligent.
I'm aware of the extraordinary work that you've done on behalf of the Russian people.
Breaking news from Ukraine. Overnight, armed men seized control of 2 government buildings as Putin announces he's sending troops.
Many of Putin's critics have mysteriously become ill or died.
Apparent vicious political assassination of one of President Vladimir Putin's most outspoken critics.
A new report about Russian interference in the presidential election. Next, a look at how strong the evidence is that points to the Putin government.
Former Russian spy is in a critical condition in hospital in
Investigators suspect the Kremlin could be behind the incident in Salisbury on Sunday.
He says great things about me. I'm going to say great things about him. He's been a leader far more than our president has been a leader.
Wouldn't it be great if we actually got along with Russia? Am I wrong in saying that? Wouldn't it be great? I believe that President Putin really feels, and he feels strongly, that he did not meddle in our election.
He's not going into Ukraine, okay? Just so you understand. He's not going to go into Ukraine.
That was a good video. That was great. Holy shit. I'm saving this. I'm genuinely saving this. It's an argument brought up so many times that, we haven't allowed Russians to come close to us, and we've been pushing them away all of this time, and we've been, threatening them all of this time, when it genuinely, come on. Like, dude, just before they started the full-scale invasion, you still had people going around being like, oh, Putin is actually a great leader. He would never attack. He would never do that. You been to the restaurant? How was it? How was it? Did you have fun? Is there like a spot which is like, here is where Russians poisoned a dude? Is there expensive? Well, then that's even sadder. Oh, wait, this is new? Or is this new? Is this fresh? Oh, mosques in China are being torn down, and Islam is considered a mental illness. Oh shit. %10 dislike on the video. Well, we know what types of people disliked it, don't we? we know who they are. Man. Communists don't like anything. Communists are just sad, miserable little people. They technically, okay, like Depends on which branch of communism we are talking about. But yeah, they tend to be quite horrible towards members of any sort of organized religion. They were horrible towards literally like every single member of religious movements. It's like it's creating divide between the people, and you shouldn't be creating divide between the people based on nationality or based on religion. You should actually just be acknowledging the divide based on class. Which, you know, once you start killing people who are very religious, it's gonna... it turns into you creating the divide based on religion, just in a completely different way. Oh man. What block is this? Renovation? Do we think it's renovation? Do we think it's renovation? Do we think we're getting Sus news? Haven't been following the situation in China, to be completely honest, and I know the basics of the basics. Upgrading to Islam 2.0. That doesn't really look like renovation. Huh. Western media not exposing this? In what way? Of the... I feel it is being... I mean, how would you say exposing this? The tendency of the what we call the axis of evil recently in media, so Russia and China, to fund groups which are fighting against Western-backed groups, like what is happening with the current situation with Russia backing Hamas, so they would be fighting Israel. I feel it's rather well described. NATO. We need some based allies. We got Croatia. That's all you need. That's all you need, baby. Oh, what's new with Afghanistan? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I've seen... What was the last... I said a piece of news. On one deal falling apart, but whose deal was it? Wouldn't know. Avdiivka? Or is Syrski already doing meat assaults? I think it's a bit too early to say. I think it's a bit too early to say. Syrski did say, now, ironic because it's Syrski saying it, but he did say that lives are very valuable to him and he doesn't want to be sacrificing people. So, but I think for now it's genuinely a bit too early to say how the situation is. It's definitely serious. But yeah. We'll have to see if he's going to make the same mistake as he made with Bakhmut, or if he is going to, you know, have better advisors. Let's say it like that. No, Croatia is doing well. Croatia is fixing tanks, and we're opening a new weapons factory. We're doing okay-ish. Links? Yeah, you can post links. You can post links freely. They are allowed in chat. Yeah, I mean, for now, no one knows what's going on in Abdika when it comes to that, right? UK will become a democratic Islamic state. Have Muslims in UK, what do you think? I think people can have predictions that they see fit. Oh. Okay, so he thinks people might just be coming to Islam out of their own will?
And then we're going to see, are you going to take violent, kick us out? We don't know what you're going to do. Our job is, you let us do our da'wah, And we'll see. I believe Islam destroyed the religion of Christianity in the West, and now they are open to Islam. I believe it's good. If it carries on like this, it's good. And if they allow us, if they believe in their democratic system and their freedom of speech, I believe one day Britain, with free will, people will come to Islam. I think it might be an Islamic country. I believe only if they go against their own principles.
Yeah, I feel it's like a normal view of like, oh yeah, when you show to atheist people what sort of fulfillment religion is going to give them, they're going to come to religion themselves. It's one of those things where like, you know, is he creating any sort of a call for problematic movements arising from this? He isn't. So I'm kind of GG with it. I'm not really worried about the speech. The giving of Divka, not whole city, but some positions for sure. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I hope they do pullouts. Yeah, better than what they were done in Bakhmut, basically. Sirski did get a lot of complaints over the way he handled that, and I understand why. I genuinely understand why. It's important to know which positions are strategically smart to keep and which positions, you know, are not worth sacrificing a lot of lives for. Because if you saw the numbers, I saw a comparison of numbers. Does anyone have it? There's a comparison of numbers of casualties and lost equipment, lost vehicles between Ukraine and Russia so far in Avdiivka. Russians are losing a lot more. They're losing a lot. I've seen 13-1 when it comes to confirmed losses of equipment. Their losses are wild, right? If we keep on being really careful, it could be, you know, a good strategy to make them lose a lot. But the problem is that when you keep these positions too desperately, then you're sacrificing a lot of human lives, and something like that shouldn't be ignored once again. I don't think it's being done right now. I haven't seen anyone really reporting on it as if it's being done right now, and I don't think we can predict if it's going to be done. Eliminating large number of occupiers and equipment in a frontline city, rather than letting the occupiers pass further and further so that each next one turns into ruins. Oh yeah, the strategy is good. The strategy is good. I just wish that the number of liquidated occupiers and destroyed equipment is worth the numbers that Ukraine is losing. And so far, according to what people are reporting, the situation is again very tough, but it is under control, so I'm hoping that's true. Basically, like, we can't know more than, you know, what the military knows, and the military isn't really giving us details on this right now, so I kind of support not really making guesses out of anything. We should wait. We should wait and see. We should wait and see. What is not related? What is not related? Fear of death and confusion about the universe? Oh? Is it death related? It is the 20 minutes death related video. Well, I'm gonna click to his point. I wonder what he says. I find great disappointment in seeing people talk about their fear of death. I find lots of disappointment in it because they don't think about it the same way I think about it. And then I just kind of feel sad about the whole thing. Like, I remember the first time I watched Dr. K talk to someone who had fear of death. Was it the dude, the man who has really bad views about aid to Ukraine? What's his name? The streamer. Asmongold. It was Asmongold. And they were talking about Asmongold and his supposed fear of death and dying. And that was the worst conversation I've ever heard on the topic. Not only did it not help, it made me annoyed. It made me annoyed about my fear. It was like, later when I was thinking about it, I was also annoyed because these two people talked about it in such a bad way. And bad, I don't mean bad in a way that they were like, oh, it's bad to fear death. No. I mean bad as in they actually tried to explore it, but they explored it in such a I want to say dumb way, that it got me annoyed. They were exploring it. I think it was Asmongold. I'm not sure if it was him. But the dude is like, oh, I'm scared of death and I'm scared of dying. And Dr. K is like, well, have you ever thought about the possibility of reincarnation? And then they talk about the possibility of reincarnation. It's like, bro, at that point, you know, I could be like, oh yeah, I'm scared of dying. And you can be like, hey, what if a unicorn comes and takes you over to the fairyland? Beautiful thing. Why would you bring that up in a serious conversation about death? Fucking reincarnation. Like, it's salty. I was fucking salty, alright? I'm still salty about that because I had high hopes when I saw the title of the video being like fear of death. And then it's like a reincarnation. Wow. Solved my fucking problems, bitch. You're not going to be here. Oh, he doesn't know either. He's like, why are people scared of dying? I don't know. Reincarnation as a Russian? Bro, I remember talking about reincarnation to one Hindu person at one point, and I asked about reincarnation and about, like, you know, the numbers of human souls and all of those arguments. And they were like, oh yeah, but like you don't have to reincarnate as a human. You could be reincarnating as some lower sort of an animal, like a worm or something, like to be punished. Better than a Russian, my dude. But like, I feel it would be rather chill to be a worm. What's the bad thing about it? It would be chill to be a worm. Like, you're too stupid to care about anything. You just die. You're just eating something and then you die and that's that. I feel it would be chill to be a worm. It's different if you're like a gazelle or something, because you're constantly in the state of, you know, fearing for your own life. If you're a worm, you're too stupid to care. Yeah, you're too stupid to care about birds though. You don't care about birds, you're just a worm. You're a stupid little worm. You're doing your wormy little bloop, 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 food, and then you die. That would be great. I would love to be a worm for a while. It's like being a Republican, probably. Thompson? Hater. Bakhmut 2.0 and HIMARS ammo runs out. When you only have 10-20% of 155mm as you had in Bakhmut. When your air defense missiles run out. Yeah, that too. Also, yeah, good thing to point out. Russia can lose a lot, Ukraine can't. As long as the numbers of liquidated Russians are very, very high and the numbers of Ukrainian casualties is very low, it might be acceptable. But like the second losses go into sort of an unacceptable rate, Ukraine must pull out. Like, at that point you're losing more than the Russians are losing. That can't be allowed. Hey, yo, Matty, how's that going? You're not impressed about Dr. K? I think he's great when it comes to some topics. I think he was really, really great when it came to some topics. But I don't really think he works fine in some other ones. But basically, I was feeling betrayed by his approach to fear of death. I think everything else he was doing, to be honest, to me was good, especially when he talks about men. He talks about men and he talks about masculinity and stuff like that, and how the internet and the influences and everything are creating this toxic idea of what masculinity is supposed to be. Oh no, Mate, you are looking at this from the completely wrong direction. This is not a capitalist war between oligarchs. Russia invaded Ukraine. This is not a war in which Ukraine is participating because it wants to participate. This is not a war in which Ukraine is participating because it wants to gain rulership over new lands or something. Ukraine is the victim of a foreign invasion. So, no, your view on this is completely deranged. The Russians have also learned how to fight better. That's true. Triple their production of vehicles, but they need to triple it again just to break even compared to how many they are losing. Oh, that's good. That's good. I hope we figure out to bring the same numbers to the amount of men they are losing, because I would love to see them try to triple the production of that. Wait, Avdiivka. Hey, this is the graphic that I've seen. Hey, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah. Yes, see the amount of losses? Come on. Ukrainians will die until America runs out of guns? You are aware that the imperialism is what Russia is engaged in when it's attacking Ukraine, correctly? Russia wants to rebuild its former empire. Russia is willing to try and go and genocide the nation of Ukraine because Russia believes that it has the right to the lands that its empire once used to be ruling over. It is. That's literally the argument. It is. Russia believes it has the historic right to these lands. No, I'm not wrong. I genuinely know what's going on here. Like, Russians themselves are very open about this too. To triple the amount of men they're producing, they need an even weaker pull-out gang. To be fair, they are trying to get in some foreigners recently. Which is the thing that's really, really concerning to me. Because they're trying to... Bro, I'm literally getting info from Russians too. That's an interesting situation, though. Where do you think you're getting info from? What do you think you're getting info from? Yeah, where do you think you're getting information from? Is it Soros and Musk? Oh, it has to be. No. I wanna see where dude's getting info from. He reminds me of a certain streamer. He reminds me of a certain streamer who was recently asked what he thinks about Russian invasion on Ukraine, and he responded that he doesn't support either, how was it? Either bourgeoisie state. He reminds me of that. I wanna know. Who do you follow? Assuming Russia and Ukraine both have working class. Ukraine does, while Russia is a slave country. That's true, to be fair. Mostly Russian bots? Oh, well, I guess you're not alone. But yeah, the idea that this is a war where you have two oligarchs fighting it between each other, not true. You are comparing this to the World War I situation. This is World War II situation. You have Nazis trying to genocide nations. And then you have victims trying to fight against the Nazis. That's what you're having right now. The idea of like, I don't support either capitalist state. Right now, it would be like if you saw Germans going around invading states and going, yeah, I don't support Germans, and I also don't support their victims either. So yeah. It is a view that you see often. You saw it very often from very, very dumb Westerners at the start of this conflict. Don't know if you remember. We had one in the chat, but I think we banned the person. He was really into the idea that we should get both people who started this war into field so they could like fight it out between each other. And it's like, no, Putin is the man who started this war. Why would you give him, the possibility to go and fight the victim of his aggression? Putin is the one who started this war. He should be wiped out, together with everyone in his state who supports this, of course. But Ukraine is not nearly in the same situation as Russia is in. Invading and murdering people for their ethnicity and nationality is what made the Nazis bad. True. Closest countries to socialism are in NATO. That's also true. That's also true. Putin would never agree to that. Of course he wouldn't. He would shit his pants the second he heard the proposal. Yeah, but yeah. Usually attempting to genocide a nation tends to be frowned upon, you know? Game of Thrones rules say he's allowed to pick a champion for the field fight. Ah. See. Luckily, we ain't in Game of Thrones. You can't choose anyone. That too. NATO is based? And NATO is based? Oh no, my man got timed out. Oh, I would be sad if he wasn't so stupid. Always sad to see the average IQ of chat increase. Yay! Mongolian historic map. Saw this. It was a good post. I was very, very happy about it. Yeah, overall. Yes. Hey, no, Belgorod is a chillin'. How dare you? Nothing happened in Belgorod. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, apologetics for Russia killing Ukrainians for the nationality. Absolutely. The idea that this is two oligarch states battling each other, definitely creating a situation where you make excuses for Russians attempting a genocide of Ukrainian nation. That's all you're doing. Like, genuinely nothing else is going on in the situation. It's making excuses for Russians attempting a genocide. Nothing else. Between 5:15? Wait, the death one? Does he say anything there that's... Because he seems, I looked through the transcript and it was mostly like, oh, I lived a life like this. I don't really care how he lived. That's what I've seen in the transcript. It was like, oh yeah, I had a wife, I loved her very much, I don't really care. Know what I mean? It's like, I'm glad he lived. It just, through the transcript, unless the transcript is not good.
At this age,
it doesn't seem that he's saying anything...
I think about death.
How would I say it? Anything that would make me think. It's all things you've heard before.
At the University of California.
Which is my problem with a lot of these fear of death videos. It's like,
I started out.
You know, it's very, what's the word? It's recycled. A lot of the opinions people have. I had a fight with this over one of my first accounts that I've made online. I had a fight with someone over this, but and it's because when you enter these types of spaces for the first time, what you're going to see is, yeah, just recycled opinions. You're gonna have expectations and they're not going to be reached. But most people, when they talk about their fear of death and dying, they have the same tropes that they will say that are really annoying to listen to constantly. And it's the things like, oh yeah, you will just not exist, being one of them. So the thing of like, oh yeah, I realized you will not exist. I realized that, wait, let me play him in the background. I realized that, you know, it's not going to be darkness, I see, or ghosts or whatever. I'm just not going to see anything because I won't be able to see, because I won't be existing. Oh, it's the same thing as it was before you got born. That's the one that I hate. Oh, it's the same thing as before you were born. Ho, 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 ho. Very funny, very funny. I want to beat up people who say me shit like that. Yeah, but like, it's very hard to present this conversation as something that matters, because very rarely do you see opinions presented that actually, you know, are interesting.
In the book about death.
Why do you hate it? It's worthless. It's one of those things.
Afraid or concerned or anything about death.
When you're like really
there's nothing.
Concerned about something.
You're not going to suffer. You're not going to be unhappy.
You know the way I see it. You know how like when you lose something,
well, you just
you lose your phone or something, right? And you tell to someone that you lost your phone, and they respond with, "Where have you left it?"
That's your favorite.
And like, you know that question is coming from them. You're annoyed before it even comes. And then it comes, and it's not helpful in any way. and then you're annoyed by it.
I now think that is not.
That's the way I feel when people tell me that when I die, it's going to be the same before I was born, because like I don't exist in both occasions. It's like I know it's coming. It's a low-level response to it. It's something that you hear when you're like a high schooler talking about this to other high schoolers. It's not helpful in any sort of a way. It's just something to throw out there. I just despise it. I despise that one so much. But it's probably also because, you know, I genuinely did Google this a lot of times, and I did talk to a lot of people about this, and I've learned it's better not to.
Must be something I'm missing.
I've learned it's better not to talk to people about this, because they just make you annoyed, and not any less fearful. Yeah.
So here I am, trying to work
Oh yeah,
out
you will be missed, but you won't know it, because you won't exist.
I still find
ban, report and ban.
to try to figure it out, what's going on. And I spent a lot of my life thinking about such issues. But
yeah, when you're dead, you're dead. And it doesn't matter if someone misses you or if people dance on your grave, you're dead, that's it. You're in the same situation, nothing really matters, you're gone, you're deleted.
I think I asked the question with the sense that...
Hey, I like his little reading thing, though.
It's a kind of ironic question.
I like his little reading thing.
I think the answer may be... the silent answer may be... there is no point.
See, he's based.
It's a foolish question.
I like him, though, because he's like 97. He's 97, bro. You could have asked me that. I would have told you the same thing. You could have asked me. He goes through all of these years of like schooling and university and teaching philosophy and everything to give you an answer that I could have given you right fucking now. There's no point. Not being indoctrinated by religion helps a lot. I feel it's messed up a little bit though, because the way that I experienced it, I started fearing it when I stopped believing. Because before that, I didn't ask myself what's going to happen. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go up in heaven. And then one day you're like, am I gonna go up in heaven? Like, am I gonna go up? And you don't know if you're gonna go up, because you don't know if there's a soul within you. I mean, I do know there's not a soul within anyone. Yeah, but like the second you ask the question, it's like, oh, fuck. And then you're just left with not knowing. What I've learned though, because I was 12 when I do know there's not a soul. I'm like, it's one of the things that I'm fully, absolutely 100% convinced in, to be honest. When it comes to the opinions that I hold really, really genuinely strongly, that's one of them. There's no soul, there's nothing supernatural. But what's the word? I think if I was religious still, I would still have the delusion of just going up and I wouldn't really care about it. What happens when consciousness has gone? Nothing. You're gone. That's that. You're deleted. You're nothing. It's like a Disney movie. Dying is a biological process. I don't worry about it being a biological process. You know what it is though? There's a scene. There's a scene in one movie. The very hot dude acts in it. Mads Mikkelsen. He's acting in it. And there's a scene where he says that dying is an insult. Time itself is the insult, and dying is an insult to humanity. And that's the scene that I like feel sometimes. I'm like, it's fucking insultive. You know how many like good lives, how many good people have just died and are gone? How many unique, beautiful minds are just gone? It feels such a waste, doesn't it? It feels like such a waste. I think that's what like makes me real salty about this whole thing. It's gone. You spend all your life like learning something, loving people, and then you die, and that's just it. It's like you're gone. It's incredibly sad. It is incredibly sad. So that's kind of what I'm absolutely fucking angry about. Yes, your last moment is going to be pure fear, though. I also learned that, and that is something that has stayed in the back of my mind ever since I've learned it. I'm basically planning when I reach old age, you know, like when you kind of know death is coming, I'm going to be off my fucking balls on drugs. I'm going to be using every single drug that exists in this universe, and then I'm going to be using more of them, right? Because I remember learning that... I was in an interview with a woman who works in old people's homes, and they asked her, hey, wait, let me play the dude if you want to read him. They asked her, hey, you know, how many people like genuinely die in their sleep peacefully? Is it a thing that like happens often? And she was like, no, it almost never happens. You think they died peacefully, and mostly you think they died peacefully because they will die during sleep, and they're either alone at the time they're really, really old and close to dying, or there's gonna be like, you know, their spouse or someone sleeping next to them, but they're also old. You know, no one figures out that they died, actually. But you have people who work in old people's homes, and they're actually having to, you know, look after these old people, and they have to take care that they're doing well. And what happens is you take the last breath, and you basically are terrified throughout the whole of it. Because what happens is you're sleeping and you're awoken and you feel different. You feel very different to what you used to be feeling. No one really knows what the feeling is because none of the old people described it. You just feel it. I assume you feel like, you know how like you feel when you have weakened blood flow in your arms or something and you feel tingling and everything. I imagine it could be something like that. Of course, I have no idea what it is. But they feel something, they are terrified, they take the last breath, and they die. You know it's going on, you know it's happening, and you're panicking throughout the whole fucking duration of it. Very rarely do they actually die sleeping peacefully without anyone, like, noticing it. Mostly, they know what's happening, they know what's going on. So, I'm gonna be off my balls. That's the plan. That's the plan of it.
Call it emptiness.
We don't extend the same thoughts to animals, says enough how much bullshit it is. I think it though depends on how much value you place on consciousness. I think it kind of depends on that. Like animals that aren't conscious, it's like, yeah, alright. It's not like a lot is lost when you're gone. Like when a worm dies or something. What did the worm feel when it died? It felt nothing, it's a worm. But then when it comes to some other animals, I do feel that we do feel heartbreak when they die. I do feel that we do understand the tragedy of it when they die. Hey, why am I getting ads? But yeah, basically, all in all,
it's something I don't want to happen.
Based.
Much as I think our life in this world is often a pretty messy affair, I still would like to hang around.
Look, I'm still personally, I deal with it by being like, you know what? You know what? One day we're going to have immortality. One day we're going to have like android bodies. That's the one that I support, android bodies, and I'm gonna be able to just like take my brain out and put it into this android robot body, and it's going to keep it alive forever. And that's the coping I do sometimes when I'm feeling really, really anxious over the idea of dying and I really want to sleep. And not iPhone bodies? Ew. Ew, fuck iPhones. Ew, you have to like plug yourself to that loser charger that I use. Ew. Oh, I couldn't take the option of euthanasia, though. I feel that's the problem. I couldn't take the option of euthanasia because I'm way too much of a pussy to do that. You know what I want to do? I want to hire someone. I want to get off my balls with drugs regularly, and I want to hire someone to just like euthanize me on a surprise. Can I do that? It's probably going to be a thing by the time that I'm like 90 or something. gonna be like, yeah, one day when you see like I'm actually fully out of myself, just do it. I want to know. Just like, I don't know, inject me with something. I don't know how they do it. What's like the least painful way to do it? I feel like overdosing would. I don't know anyone who ever overdosed. I don't know what it feels like. I've never talked to someone about it who experienced it. Can't be off your balls as a girl. I would argue I can, just because I don't have them. It's far harder for people who actually have balls attached to them. Hey, 2 seconds? Oh, why? Old couple who died together. One was really sick, other was still healthy, but didn't want to live alone. I know 3 stories so far of relatives where one person dies and then the other one, when left alone, gets really, really sick and dies like almost immediately afterwards. The last one, the difference between them, the 2 of them dying, was 3 months. I still don't know what it is. Like, why? How do you get so sick so quickly? It's almost the surprising thing, you know. Like my aunt, for example, grand aunt or whatever, when her husband died, this woman went blind. She went blind in the span of like 2 weeks. She did have, you know, the vision issues before, but not to the point of her being blind. It was such a way, and she was like genuinely blind. You know, we were taking her to doctor's exams and everything. She was genuinely blind. How are you genuinely going blind so quickly? That was very, very weird. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they do that. But to be fair, I do see it mostly in couples who have been together for a very, very long time and who have also been very isolated for a very long time. Because we have another couple, not really family, friends, let's say it, and they have been together for who the hell knows how many decades, no one knows, since they were teenagers. And recently the man has died, but the woman is still alive and she's doing all right. And I think it's because what we did is we put them in the old people's home and she has a community around her. I think it's that. Like, she wasn't left alone in a house to care for, where I assume depression just crushes you. She actually has people around her. Yeah, a support system, right? I think that's the difference. I imagine that's the difference. It's an interesting thing to watch happen. Very sad though, incredibly sad. So I will not make it. Failing chance for free university is not acceptable, but death is acceptable. Oh shit, I remember being similar. I had the time when I was at the worst ever position in my life. It was like 2017. 2016, 17, like end of 16, 17, and then start of 18, I was in a horrible, horrible situation. And one time I was like calculating, because I was in a second store in a building, second story, and I was calculating, and I remember reading this one research, which was like, oh yeah, with every floor of a building, like depending on where you throw yourself over, your chance of dying is actually really, really low. What's really, really high is your chance of getting really, really harmed. You have to be on floor number 8 to actually have like a really, really, really high chance of dying. When you're on floor number 4, you have 50-50. That's 50-50. And I was like doing calculations and everything, and I would catch myself doing the calculations. And I would just go and I would spam my friends. I was like, hey, my dude, I'm feeling like fucking horrible. You gotta be like mental support. And he would be like, no, fuck off, leave me alone. But I was a spammer because like I knew I wasn't good. And I didn't want to tell anyone I wasn't good. So I was just like spamming. And it made me feel better. It makes you feel better when you're talking to someone. So, you know. Will to keep living and hope of seeing some family again. Kept people alive. Yeah, that too. Man, holy shit, that's so sad though. that is so sad. We need more floors. That too. That's too. At least 8. Man, the interview was by a doctor, by the way. It was a really interesting interview. I'll need to find it one day. It was saying that basically they asked a doctor like, hey, how do you think about, what do you think about the rising suicide rate in your profession? And he was like, oh yeah, horrible thing. I was thinking about it too. And they were like, why were you thinking about it? And also, what helped you not do it? And he's like, I work on floor number 5. I've got a bit more than 50% of chance of dying once I plummet down. But like the remaining part of this possibility is that I'm going to be paralyzed and my family is going to have to take care of me forever. And he says he had colleagues who were paralyzed after attempting suicide. And like, it's even worse because you feel horrible about it. You feel so guilty about it. And then your family has to be taking care of you, until the end. And it's just making the situation even worse. So, yeah. But hey, we need to go to happy topics, all right? We need to go to happier topics. I don't want to give you existential crisis. I'm the one dealing with it. I'm the one dealing with that shit, okay? You stop dealing with it. You failed, bro. Fuck. List of tallest buildings in Croatia. Look, it's gonna be something in Zagreb. I'm not going to Zagreb to fucking suicide. Dalmatia Tower, even worse. Split. Listen, okay? Here's a tip for you. You wanna do some life-ending shit? You don't even have to jump off a building in Split. You just go into Split. And there's hooligans there on the streets. There's like mafia people there. Fish people, but like violent fish people. You just go into Split and that's that. Something's gonna get fucked, okay? Someone's gonna like push you into the sea and feed you to sharks just because they felt like it on that particular day. You just go there. I'm taking some Russians as serves with me. YOLO. I saved a video on Kosovo, by the way. I saved a video on Kosovo today. I haven't shown you all of my links. I have to show you all of my links. Listen. I've saved this. Because I follow Max right now on Threads too. I follow Max right now on Threads too. And he's saying that Uzbekistan has decided to join the financial sanctions against Russia. Violent fish people, Yakuza. No. Violent fish people, the Dalmatians. The Dalmatians. It's like normal fish people, but they will beat you up in the street. I also saved, what did I save? I saved a lot of things. I don't know which one I want to show you first because I also want to show you my videos. I've saved you this. In June 1940, shortly after Hitler invaded France, the newspapers, some Hearst, secured an interview with the German dictator, mainly because Hearst has long shown sympathies with Hitler. Boris Johnson reminds us, likening Tucker Carlson and his Putin interview to the hapless reporter who helped propagate Hitler's lies to the American people. This one. Karl von Weygand has interviewed Hitler, and Hitler stated he was not going to destroy the British Empire, but on the contrary, he offered his services to protect Europe. The scandalous interview was discussed in all newspapers. After the war, Weygand was tossed around the camps, lost his sight, and died of pneumonia. So, yeah. I pray Americans see through this unholy charade. He goes, that's way too many words to use for, Trump fans who are falling for this. Oh, look, there's a video. There's an ad before the video. Dalmatians, Dalmatia.
Watching that ludicrous interview.
A ludicrous interview.
By Tucker Carlson, and we must not fall for this tissue of lies, above all for the notion that Putin is somehow fated to succeed in Ukraine. On the contrary, he is doomed to fail. Read about it in the Daily Mail.
He is doomed to fail. He goes, I love him so much. That reminds me though of another post that I've seen and then saved and then probably lost somewhere. As an, oh no, but I have this one saved. But I had the one, and I don't know where I lost it. The one on where someone on Twitter claims that there is no chance for Ukraine to win against Russia, and they used that video of a bunch of Russian ships looking like really, really strong, really majestic. Oh, here it is. Anyone who believes Ukraine can beat Russia is clinically insane. And they posted this little video, and then there's like the reader's context. Out of the 5 large surface vessels shown in this video, 4 have been sunk. One of them is Moscow. One of these fuckers is Moscow itself. Come on. Another one was sunk recently, by the way. The one named Caesar. What was it? Caesar something. Fun fact, the ship was called after a Jewish man who was fighting on the side of the Red Army against the Nazis. He himself was killed on 14th of February, and the ship bearing his name was also sunk on the 14th of February. Personally, if there is some sort of reincarnation, that man has been reincarnated as whoever was operating the fucking missile, because I would be salty. Imagine you die fighting Nazis, and then they use your name to put it on a ship of modern Nazis. That ship was in Georgia. That ship was killing Georgians before it came to Ukraine to kill Ukrainians. So that man was salty. That man was absolutely goddamn salty. He did this purposefully. Ukraine killed Jewish ship. Oh no. Had not considered that. That is horrible. That is horrible. Zapor Zelensky. How's my man doing, by the way? He has lots of meetings these days. He's going to Western Europe, right? Super duper Eurasian Red Brown Empire. Any updates? Oh shit. Oh shit, the more you look at it. Oh shit. Yeah, this one! This one! Yeah, it is helpful. I wanna see the video. Thank you. Gone. Which one is left? That's the next target. That better be the next fucking target. Man. Musk? He says there is support, but not any plan about how to win, actually. Hey, to be completely honest, I have not read his writings. I have kind of taken the path of ignoring everything Musk thinks and says and believes in. So, I don't know. Not sure what he said. This one. Oh, I clicked on some South China thing. Doubting Ukraine's ability to win, mocking Zelensky's request for aid. There was pressure on Putin to see the fight through, as he would be assassinated if he backed off. Okay. I don't care. He said there is no way in hell that Russian President Vladimir Putin could lose the war in Ukraine. No. Johnson said to those who expect a Ukraine victory were living in fantasy world. He said he added he hoped Americans would contact their elected representatives. This spending does not help Ukraine. Prolonging the war does not help Ukraine. Oh no, I feel he's very wrong on this. I feel he's very, very wrong on this. Musk has expressed similar sentiments before, doubting Ukraine's ability to win the war, mocking Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's request for aid. He said his companies have probably done more to undermine Russia than anything. What, you mean Twitter is helping spread Russian propaganda and then also Starlink being used by Russians right now? Yeah, he's providing Starlink to Russians. He's providing Starlink to Russians, which, by the way, there's something so interesting about that. Russians are using Starlink. Russians are using Starlink, and Elon is like, oh yeah, well, we don't know anything about this. But like when Ukrainians were using Starlink, he could have just not allowed it to be used where he didn't want it to be used. He saved the Black Sea Fleet from an attack just by not allowing Ukrainians to use Starlink where they wanted to use it. And now suddenly he's like, oh yeah, guys, I can't really control this. I can't really do anything about this. You were able to do shit then, you can't do shit now? Do we trust that? Do we believe in that? Because I kind of don't. Oh yeah, no one really knows what it means. They don't know what it means. There is a plan, and it is to make Crimea untenable for Russia by cutting all means of supply. Ah, good plan. I always felt, though, it always felt like Crimea is relatively, I don't want to say easy to take, but like you take down the bridge and you starve them out. You know what I mean? You shoot down the bridge and then you just don't give them anything and then they'll have to run away from it. I understand that would be like a very obvious strategy for Crimea. I'm worried about the strategy for the east of Ukraine without sufficient NATO help. I feel Crimea is, I don't know, Crimea feels a bit simpler to take if we provide Ukrainians with, you know, enough weapons to take out the bridge. In a few years, if Ukraine cannot last Russia, the Russian army and economy will be in really bad shape. I hope. Oh, I hope. It's also talking about things I've been salty about recently. Why are we seeing people believe Russian comments on the strength of their own economy? Because I have seen quite a lot commenting on them having high economical growth recently. It's like, are you sure you want to trust what Russians are saying about us? You sure? That's a believable source. We have no other sources on this. You sure you want to take that one for granted? Man working for Russian intelligence who planned to commit acts of sabotage, including setting fire to facilities in the western city of Wrocław. Is that read like T? Poland has become a major target of Russian spies, accusing Moscow and Belarus of trying to destabilize it. The man was arrested on January 31st, and the security services said they found evidence of his plans on his person and his luggage. Oh. He was put in a pre-trial detention for 3 months, could face up to 12 years in prison. Nice. Looks okay because of their defense spending? Yeah, that's the idea I got too. Hey, by the way, have you seen this?
Нового Оскола Белгородской области. Сегодня получила подарок от нашей администрации за то, что согласилась проголосовать за Владимира Владимировича Путина на выборах президента России 15-17 марта. Меня никто об этом не просил, но я была очень сознательной комсомолкой, инициативной, активной девочкой. Поэтому прошу вас всех, кто только любит подарки от Владимира Путина и Вячеслава Гладкова, прийти в администрацию по адресу улица 1 мая, 4. и получить свой пакетик с продуктами. Делать ничего не надо, только получить свой талон и пакетик, и сказать, что вы голосуете за нашего президента и любите Россию. Сегодня я буду с этой, а завтра будет с этой вся Россия. А вы только посмотрите на этот пакетик, чего тут только нету. И консервы.
It's so Hungarian, by the way, it's so Hungarian.
И все, что только душа пожелает. Не стесняйтесь, идите, не пожалеете. Я Ирина Николаевна Левицкая.
I could have just been clicking on it the whole time. I could have actually been clicking on it the whole time. Hungarians do a very similar thing here in Croatia, where if you agree to be voting for the Hungarian party, you get a kilo of flour. I know you get that. You get like also some salt, you get some oil, you get like the basic ingredients. And a lot of them do it. And there's a meme. They call it a meme, yeah. A joke in these parts, because there's people who have, like me for example, I am partially Hungarian. So there's people who will go and write themselves in as Hungarian just before the elections so they could get the free food items. And then, you know, they are Croatian again. You can do it. Orban's party is very, very famous, by the way, in Hungary itself. Fidesz? Talking about Fidesz, have you seen that the Hungarian president has resigned? Who saw the news? Have you saw the news? Because she's a Fidesz girl. She's one of theirs, the traditional family values woman. Yeah, she resigned because she let the man go free, the man who was pressuring children who are victims of sexual assault to not point fingers towards the man who assaulted them. And the man was in jail for a time, and then the Pope was coming to Hungary, and they were like, our president could give a pardon to a few people in prison, and she chose to give a pardon to a man who was pressuring kids victims of assault to not report the man who assaulted them. So yeah. All this branded stuff and food. There's a meme by votes for Hrečka. What's a Hrečka? What's that? Yeah, deport every single one of them deported. Wait, Starlink? Other countries with foreign accounts? And Starlink is geo-limited. Frontline is not updated live and accurate, so they can take Ukrainian positions, steal or take their foreign Starlinks and use it. Something like this was a sudden Ukrainian big attack and move, as this map was updated later. I think the problem, though, with the geolocation thing is that Ukraine often does not have Starlink permitted on their positions. And this isn't just about the smaller moves that they're doing, because of course it would be quite hard to update Starlink properly when it comes to like small movements on the battlefield. But we have seen time and time again that Starlink is not working on positions which are relatively close to the front line, but not as close as it would make sense if, you know, it came to a simple geolocating issues. We could say that what they are doing is trying to stay safe, so they just don't allow Starlink use close to the front line, right? We could say that. The problem is, though, how are Russians using it? How are Russians using it? If Ukrainians on their side of the line, if some of them can't use their Starlink, how can they be using Starlink on the Russian side? Now, if you're supposed to take the idea that it's like a safe approach to just not allow it too close to the front line, it's not supposed to be reachable on the Russian side at all, like in any way. Yeah, but the president has resigned, and also another person has resigned. I don't know which one. Hungary president resigned. What I do know is that it's also a woman. So the two strongest women politicians of Hungary have resigned over the same incident, which seems to have been creating quite a dent in the popularity of the party overall. Now, not too much of a dent, To be fair, it's Hungarians. It's Hungarian still. I'm pretty sure they would be okay with keeping the right-wingers in power, even if they, you know, have done shit like this. Oh yeah, I made a decision to grant a pardon last April, believing that the convict did not abuse the vulnerability of children whom he had overseen. He was in prison for abusing the vulnerability of children whom he had overseen. Like, he was literally in prison for that. He was in prison for that thing. Come on. Yeah. No, I can agree that the system isn't precise. I can understand the system isn't precise, and I can also understand that when there's movements happening on the front line, it's hard to update it regularly. My thing is, though, that Musk has made, not just Musk, but people who like him, have made the claims that the reason why sometimes Ukrainians can't use Starlink is because Starlink can't be used on the front line at all, right? Because it's like a safety procedure, let's say, so you don't accidentally give it to Russians, right? If the front line is not updated properly. Russians shouldn't be having it at all in any point. If it's true that on the front line itself it's not supposed to be used just because it's quite hard to update, that means Russians should never have access to it at all. The fact they have access to it is extremely, extremely suspicious. Plus then also the fact that Musk does seem to be thinking that giving aid to Ukraine actually prolongs this war. I feel the problem is rather obvious. Oh. Also, I have to show you my videos. I haven't shown you my videos, and I have to leave the stream soon. I have to go soonish. There's something about these types. Is that a husky? He looks like a small husky. Huskies are the dumbest dogs ever. Did you know that? Did you know that? Watching Putin talk. Why did you attack Ukraine? Well, back in the 13th century. I love that part of the interview. Tucker is quite a stupid man, as you might have noticed. By the way, did you see Putin acknowledging Tucker is quite stupid? At one point, he had an interview recently, and they asked him what he thinks about the interview with Tucker. And he's like, oh yeah, I thought that Tucker was going to come here, and I thought that he's going to ask me very sharp questions, and then I could give him very sharp answers. But he has chosen to do a completely different approach. Basically, Tucker is fucking dull. And he was boring as hell. But yeah, I saved a video on European Union and Serbia, and then I've saved Arthur, who maybe made a new fresh video.
Welcome back. Second video of
maybe
the week from Minneapolis, United States.
If there is a God in this universe. If there is a God in this universe. Oh yeah, 2 hours ago. Poland wants nuclear weapons against Russia.
Hello, my friends.
Nice. Wait. And then I've saved... I forgot what I saved. Oh, I saved a song. You don't need a song. You don't need a song. We're not going to be listening to songs. We don't do that here. We just do depression. Anos mia. Oh, thank you for the sub. And what else did I save? I saved As of Media video on the role of infantry and technology in modern warfare. So, yeah, make Ukraine nuclear. True. Give all the nukes back. I feel we should have done that. I feel we should have done that from the start. It's like, okay, everyone who has failed their signature on the Budapest Memorandum, which so far is everyone, in different levels, but everyone, right? Russia has definitely failed theirs. USA, I want to say they failed theirs too. The only country which is kind of somehow trying to keep their signature is UK right now. And even they are kind of... But I feel that they should be giving the nukes back to Ukraine. I feel the amount of nukes that Ukraine has given up should be divided in 3. And they should be getting them back. It would be the only fair thing. You fail your signature, let Ukraine have the right to fail their own. His hairline is dramatic. I saw the most interesting looking woman today. You just reminded me. She had such an interesting hairline. She had like hair starting from like here. It was like almost the middle of her head. It was so interesting, but like it was it's not like a balding one, it's like proper one, just natural one. She just has hair starting in the middle of her skull and not like at the top of her forehead. It was so interesting. I kept on looking at her like, where's your hair, girl? Where did it go? She did have one of those really tight ponytails though. Sometimes I wonder if those make you bald. They definitely do, don't they? Also, we have to watch Arthur so then I can go. She's not a cancer survivor. She's not a cancer survivor. She's not bald. I know she's not a cancer survivor because I know her approximately. She works for the firm. Yeah, I don't know her. I've never noticed the hair because usually she was wearing it like let down. So then I don't know how she wore it let down, to be honest. I was thinking about it, but I can't remember the hairstyle. But today she was wearing it in a ponytail, and I was like, bro, it's like when they make, you know, these movies when they have like really, really tight hairstyles, braids, really tight braids happening. It's like that. Oh, I know hair loss issues are very, very common because I recently made a mistake. I bought a thing. It's a serum for hair growth because I've noticed my hair is a bit thin and I wanted to fix that. So I bought one of those serums that you use for hair growth. And I made a mistake of mentioning that. I was talking to a friend, older woman, and I mentioned that because she mentioned that she has weaker hair, and I was like, oh yeah, you can just like get the serum. It's okay. It's like really, really good. I've heard at least. And she's like, oh nice, yeah, I'm gonna try it. And ever since then, I think she talked to other women who have the same issues. So they keep on coming to me to recommend them the serum. I don't even know if it makes any changes. Like, I've been using it for a while. To be fair, I don't even know if I have hair loss issue. Because I was using it for a while and I asked my boyfriend, like, hey, am I like balding? Is my hair getting thinner? Am I balding? And he was like, nah, you stupid bitch. So I guess maybe I just imagined it in the first place. But I told them all that it's a really good serum. I'm basically an influencer, but IRL, I'm like a proper influencer, okay? I wish I was taking percentage. I wish. More common in women who are mean and judging other women for their hair. Hey, it's like those comparisons of like men who are racist and then men who are not. And the racist ones are bald, but the men who are not like have a full head of hair even in old age. It's like that. Or League of Legends players. I hear if you play League of Legends, you lose hair way faster. I'm just telling you. Okay, I don't know if it's the stress. I guess it's the stress. Maybe don't. Do some scalp massage, eat fruits. Yeah, see. It should be considered entrapment. Oh, because it's like if he says yes, then it's like, oh, you think I've been going bald? And if he says no, then I'm like, oh, you think I am going bald? It's like, hey, do you think I'm fat? Babe, do you think I got skinnier lately? You do? You think I was fat? That makes sense. That's actually true, probably. I would probably be like, so you thought I was fat before? And he would be like, yup. One time he told me he saw a cow next to the road and he thought that was me for a second. So listen, you're not that fat. Blocked and reported.
I arrived here yesterday and today is the first video in Salt Lake City, United States. And the news today coming from Ukraine.
Maybe he has a point. He's not Indian.
Not ready for it. So
he's not an Indian man.
He's
a Hungarian man, and I'm pretty sure they do not respect cows a lot.
Because Ukrainians have sunk yet another big
He's not an Indian man, though.
Ship. Why landing ships? Well, we'll get to it. There's a very good reason and you're going to like it. It's juicy and it's connected to the Crimean breach, the Kerch breach. Ukrainian sea drones attacked the Russian landing ship Caesar Kunikov, and Caesar Kunikov was a Soviet soldier. And there's a very weird and bizarre story connected to the dates of today, February 14th.
I told you about
this.
The
landing ship.
Can I just say, before he made the video, before he published this video, he personally came to my stream and was listening to me talk about this, and then he stole it from me. We talked about this 2 hours ago. He stole it from me.
And Cesar Kunikov's death, we'll get to it later, wait for it. Near the coast, close to the villages of Alupka,
I like how you're
in the
trying
Crimea.
to think
It's
of like
about
different
5
ways to
kilometers
compare
from the
me to a
village of
fucking
Alupka.
cow.
And to actually give you a little bit of
Yes, copyright
idea where it was, you can see it on the map
How dare
right
you.
here. This is Crimea, and I'll zoom into
Both of you ready to
Can't do it without a mouse here, but this is Alupka, and about 5 clicks off the coast of it. So it's the southern part of Crimea,
I read it first.
occupied Crimea.
To
And
people.
Russian landing ship here
Okay.
was turned into a stationary submarine, never to be surfaced again. Russian forces in occupied Crimea have reported to the citizens that if you see explosions, don't film it and don't post it, because this gives the Ukrainians idea that they were successful or not successful. Well, people didn't care. They saw explosions and they immediately filmed a lot. People who witnessed the event from the shore reported hearing consecutive, powerful explosions from the sea, leading the speculation that the landing ship was being used to transport ammunition and was en route to a port.
No, it's impressive to know when I know it.
And we're gonna watch the entire video.
It's not impressive to
from
know when Arthur
Ukrainian
knows it.
marine drones,
Because at that point everyone knew
beautiful
it.
and nice and Hollywoody, and it's an eye candy. I want you to see it. Now, this ship was possibly
Doesn't change
filled
it
to
in
the
this
brink
world.
with ammunition.
I think it's
because
good to kind of
it is
make
a
them
landing ship, and this is what
shit
they're
themselves.
used for. Carrying that ammunition to Russian
But yeah,
forces
it's not
in
like it's going to
occupied
change the
South.
front line or
Ukrainian
whatever.
military confirmed the
It's
information
good
about
to
the ship
remind
being
them
hit,
of
which was 112 meters
the fact they're
long
losing
and reportedly
ships
had about 50 Russian soldiers
Ukraine
on board. Videos of the ship
no
being
navy.
attacked by sea drones are now
Yeah,
available,
propaganda victory,
and we will
basically,
watch
yeah,
them.
yeah.
They are beautiful and juicy. And Ukraine
Main
used
battle is on land.
Magura
True,
V5
true.
drones for the operation. And this is all confirmed by the official spokesperson of the GUR, GUR, or Ukrainian
Was
intelligence.
going to do naval invasions?
The
Oh,
ship's name
definitely,
was given after
definitely,
a
yeah,
Soviet
yeah.
military person
It wasn't
who simply had such a first
like
name.
it was
And
manned.
who died,
You can see the crew
check this out, who
on the
died
video.
on February
I don't know how many people were on it though. Do we know how many people died on the ship?
Name of the guy, Cesar Kunikov. Cesar is a very not Russian
But yeah, I don't
name
believe the
at
ship
all.
itself
You
was
don't
any
get
sort
these
of a
names in
danger. I
Russia.
just think it's good
Almost
to kind of
never,
make
or in the
Russians
Soviet
shit
Union.
themselves.
He died at the very same date as
So-
today, and the ship was named after him, Cesar
Early days when they
Kunikov.
said Russians were gonna land
Coincidence?
near
Or
Odessa.
maybe the GUR is having a bit of fun with the dates. All right, my friends, now the moment you've been waiting
I
for.
guess-
We're going to watch the video.
Didn't
on
Russians
this
say no
landing
one?
ship, 112 meters long landing ship, was hit with Magura V5 Ukrainian marine drones. And this is the real footage. It's not a
You may
computer
wrong
game.
on that.
Real beautiful footage. You can see the landing ship. And notice what the drone
I thought they
is
said
doing.
no one
Going
survived.
left, going right.
Am
They
I
are
imagining
very
that?
maneuverable, very agile. And soon we will see Russians trying to hit the drone with machine gun fire, small arms fire, because this is supposedly their only defense against these drones. It's not very effective. They don't really hit at night much, because this was 6 a.m. and it's really early, it's kind of dark, cannot hit anything. Very soon we should see the bullets hitting the water around the ship, around the drone, but not the drone itself. And this is only the very first one. And it's a beautiful moment when it connects
the thing
to the
is,
ship.
wait.
As you can see, the waves are giving a huge problem to the drone because it's lighter.
You know how I saw it? You know what happened when Moskva sank? When Moskva sank, there's people, one of them is the father of one of the cooks who was in Moscow at the time. And he went public saying that Russians not only knew that Moscow was almost destroyed, but also that they intentionally let the crew die. Because if the crew had been allowed to come out in the public and talk about their experiences on the Moskva and how it was struck by Ukrainians, it would create more panic. So he says that his son might have been saved if Russians actually wanted to save the crew, but they didn't want to save the crew. Now, he is the father of a casualty, and you never know how much to trust those. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't really trust anyone in this situation, really. I don't know if it's possible that all of them died. The video did look serious, but also I don't know if I'm believing everyone would have died, but also I'm not really believing that Russia would be too willing to save everyone. Some, you know, overall, it's like, I guess we don't know. Moscow's then closer to Ukraine. Also, they had like no chance of saving them too. I know he has claimed that they refuse to save them. They don't sound unreasonable. Yeah, it's because you never know with Russians. You genuinely never know with them these days.
Boom, it hit, and now we see the footage of the second drone, and we see the first primary explosion. It's huge, as you can tell.
Yeah, like it looked relatively serious, but also...
It didn't detonate yet. From the viewers' videos from the shore, we know that it detonated on the second explosion, and we will see it. Now on this footage, you can see already the damaged ship. You can see the parts that are on flames, and it looks magnificent. Now the waves force the drone up and down very violently, and now we're beginning to see some small arms fire being laid down on the drone. You can see the bullets hitting the water, but that doesn't do much to the drones. I mean, if I was a Russian Black Sea Fleet commander, I would put something more than just small arms fire against these drones. But as of now, they don't really have an antidote for it. Boom, second drone just hit. We are soon seeing the explosions. And there it is, huge, magnificent eye candy for you. Now is the time to just zip your coffee and eat some popcorn. This is unbelievable. Now we're seeing the third drone focusing down on the ship, connecting to the hull possibly.
There were 89 members of crew apparently.
You can see already 2 explosions, the ship is pretty damaged. And now this footage right here, I'm going to pause so you can see. This is the Titanic on the side and sinking already. Imagine the song, Every Night in My Dreams. That's what's going on the board right now. Because this ship is sinking on beneath your eyes. Yeah, it was turned into a submarine. It's confirmed because you see it in this video. It just went under, and all it took was 2 explosions of the drones and then the detonation of the ammunition on board, and boom, Russia got another new submarine. Beautifully executed by GUR. Now let's talk a little bit, because 2 weeks ago Ukraine attacked another Russian landing ship. If I'm not mistaken, it was Ivan Kurs. Might be mistaken
but
here,
in the middle of fucking ocean. I can imagine that.
Ukraine is focusing down.
I can imagine that.
Attack.
Especially if they were close to the shore. I don't know how close they were to the shore.
They could attack anything else, but they're focusing down on Russian Black Sea Fleet.
Right about the place.
Why is that? Well, because
did I see that just
when,
now?
hypothetically, in the future, let's say Crimean Bridge is hit, the Kerch Bridge, then what would happen is the ferry system would be back in action like it was when the Crimean Bridge was damaged, and the landing ships were carrying the bulk of the weight for military and for civilians. They acted as ferries because they're empty inside, as you can see from the footage from the B-roll here. The landing ship has it's like a car carrier,
that's what I'm
or an
seeing.
infantry fighting vehicle carrier, whatever you want to call it in very primitive
terms.
Wait,
this is the other one.
These will be used as the substitute for Kerch Bridge if it will be destroyed. Now, if there are no landing ships and something happened to the Kerch Bridge, bada boom, it went up in flames, what's going to happen? Well, most of the Russian army is trapped in Crimea, and the situation with the logistics is going to become, if not impossible, then incredibly difficult. So Ukraine has a
there's images
of
action, of it
which is not officially
participating
confirmed,
in military exercises, loading tanks and shit.
We know that some popcorn action is going to happen.
It's very visible from the shore.
That's
so it's swimming distance.
Stay tuned
makes
for
sense.
that. Now,
makes
my
sense,
friends, the news that you probably clicked on this video for, Poland may want to acquire nuclear weapons, and we'll go to the official nuclear weapons treaty, the treaty to ban nuclear weapons webpage, and then all the information on Poland. We're
I've been watching
the
interviews with
if they can actually do it or not. But first of all, I'll read
what's
you some
my man's
reports. Stated by the Polish General Yaroslav Krajewski,
the Ukrainian man who interviews Russian prisoners of war.
He called such a scenario like
that's really interesting.
Nuclear weapons for Poland realistic within the framework of NATO's nuclear sharing program.
Incredibly interesting videos.
Such an arsenal as a task for several years. I hope it will happen.
Yeah.
So he hopes Poland
I haven't seen him. I'm just looking at his YouTube.
Weapons. And of course, it would be the best deterrence against Russia. Not that
I don't know if he has been making
less
English
conventional arms and means and capabilities
subtitles recently. Should we watch him? I kind of want to watch him tomorrow. Can we watch him tomorrow?
Poland is aiming for 4%
Can we watch one Zorkin
GDP
tomorrow?
for military spending in 2024, which is the highest in NATO. It's going to be the highest. To the comment that there is a cost
Subtitles.
to owning
I'm not seeing
and
English
using nuclear
subtitles.
weapons.
Didn't he have? I swear he had English subtitles, like proper ones, not just auto-generated.
Well,
Did I
let's see
imagine
what
that?
the price really
I didn't
is, and if
imagine
it's
that.
really
He just stopped having
doable
them because he doesn't care about me anymore.
politically, and by
Yeah,
law,
Apostle.
because
Yes,
Poland is
Apostle.
in the EU and in NATO. So these two entities, they do have very strong frameworks for this stuff. Poland has not yet joined the treaty to ban nuclear weapons. Poland has not yet signed or ratified the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. National position. Poland has consistently voted against an annual UN General Assembly resolution.
Oh shit, how did you research that?
Welcomes the adoption
2 or
of
3
the
kilometers
treaty
from shore, water
of
temperature is
prohibition of
9
use of
degrees,
nuclear
survival
weapons. So
time
Poland is voting actively
is 1 to
against
6 hours.
the ban of use of
Nice,
nuclear
that's
weapons.
a
So
good
Poland
amount
is
of
At
information.
least
Nice.
the generals and the guys who are doing the voting in
Tolkien
the
shows real
hierarchy
Russians,
of
but
the
they're still
country,
lying.
top hierarchy, they are for. They're pro-nuclear.
I think 14, 20 are actors. I don't necessarily think they're actors, but
he's waiting for that to happen for Poland. Poland supports the retention and potential use of nuclear weapons on its behalf, as indicated by its endorsement of various
I do think
alliance
he
statements of the
sometimes
North
picks
Atlantic
and
Treaty
chooses.
Organization, of which it is a member. So Poland is for using nuclear
I think the
weapons.
Ukrainian.
And of
Oh,
course,
was I
when you
watching
have a
him
history
when I
with
was watching
First World War, where your
Zorkin with
country-
English?
Second World War, where Poland lost 25% of their population and ceased to exist completely and was partitioned by Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. I mean, if I was Poland, I would buy also all the conventional arms, and I would look at nuclear weapons. Because if you don't have Russia as your neighbor, you cannot
drunk Russian
understand.
sailors
It is not possible.
I'm
You
also
might get the
wondering
idea,
less about their
you
swimming
don't
ability.
really understand. I
I'm
would
also
also
wondering
look
about
for
the
nuclear
explosion.
Poland
I'm
did
hoping
not
the
participate
explosion
in the
affected them.
negotiation of the treaty to ban nuclear weapons at the United Nations in New York in 2017, and thus did not vote on its adoption. On the opening day of the negotiating conference, it joined the United States and several other states in protesting
Yeah,
the
I'm seeing
treaty-making
him dub
process.
some
So
Zolkin
US is
videos.
against the treaty, and
Did
Poland
he
is
have
siding
one
with the
recently?
US and against the treaty. And if you're next to Russia, very aggressive nuclear power, then any man or woman watching this video might say, oh, nuclear weapons, fastest way to
He
World
has
War
video
III,
on
the world
Ukrainian
destruction.
soldiers
Well,
who got
you possibly living
exchanged.
in a
We could
first
watch
world
that. Why would we
country,
watch Russians?
Having neighbors who are not attacking you or not executing your mothers and fathers or sending them to prison. So if you don't live next to Russia, it might be very difficult to understand why even I would be pro-nuclear weapons living in Estonia. Now, my friends, we started with very good news, then we followed with Poland nuclear weapon news, but now we're getting a bit darker, and I'll try to ease it up for you as much as possible. It's about Avdiivka, the main push for Russian army. And I'll go to the military map, and I specifically chose a map today that shows Ukrainian and Russian units, which units are deployed where, and I want to show you what's going on in Avdiivka, because the situation for Ukrainians have deteriorated big time. Now is the time, me as with my Estonian infantryman's perspective, now is the time to pull out. This is where I would say, now we have to go. Of course, General Syrskyi and Zelensky, they have other ideas, and I do trust them. Syrskyi is very, very experienced, because he did a beautiful fighting retreat from Bakhmut, and he knows how to exhaust the enemy while saving your manpower and pulling out, making them pay for every meter they take. But in Avdiivka, you see, this is Avdiivka, in the south of Avdiivka. We can see all of these red dots. If I click on any of these, we can see burning Russian tank near bridge south of Avdiivka. I click on another one. Drone drop on Russian infantry by the 110th. He has an interesting definition of a beautiful plot. So all of these red dots are attacks on Russian advancing columns, infantry or armor. And as you can see, they have advanced into southern part of urbanized area of Avdiivka, and the entire advancement route is littered with Russian infantry and armored vehicles attacks against Russian units, and possibly successful ones, because I've seen many videos. Now, this is bad that they are in the urbanized area, very bad. As you can see, This purple area here is where the Russians have pushed successfully, and this Ukrainian pocket right here is facing very real threat of being surrounded. Very real threat. It's not just if they pull out, like they have to pull out now. From the north of Avdiivka, the coke plant, coal mining facilities, this small road you see right here, this is the lifeline of Avdiivka for Ukrainians. It's an only paved road. All the rest are dirt roads and very muddy and slow to
Why do I
traverse.
remember?
So
I remember seeing
he's
he's sending some new fancy troops there. I don't know how I feel about that.
By now, this road, not firing sectors, but literally they have men and equipment on this road. Ukrainians cannot use this road anymore, and this is their only lifeline.
Oh yeah, that's no, I understand the copium.
Here between Russian forces,
fighting the copium, I do understand that.
3 kilometers. So with Russian coordinate system, they can, because it's mostly fields, they can have.
Still think it's nice to celebrate their losses. You know what I mean?
All of this area
Get to
right
remain positive, but also
machine is moving. They
get to celebrate the losses.
The situation is so dire that Ukrainian logistics is almost not working anymore.
Because I was worried about that.
Fight. So in my eyes, my limited understanding would tell me that pull out now, right now. Now it's the last time to pull out. And I think Syrskyi will do it, the new chief of staff of the armed forces of Ukraine. I think he will. But this is bad news for Ukraine. Of course, Russians have taken insane losses. As you can see from the dots, each of these dots is confirmed
can't be used in the Baltics.
Unit or a Russian armored vehicle, but they don't care because
Bro,
they don't count.
I mean...
Russians blanket Ukrainian units with scores of guided air bombs 24/7, and Ukraine has nothing left to counter that. It's very similar to the Russian Black Sea Fleet, where Ukrainians are destroying Russian Black Sea Fleet methodically, and Russians cannot do anything against it. Well, in Avdiivka, Russians are using their old Soviet glide bombs, which are
third assault. True.
1,000 bombs.
Yeah, now I saw it. Third separate assault brigade.
Massive bombs. They make an explosion enough to take down a house. And they
Offensive
have
was urgently redeployed to strengthen Ukrainian troops in the Avdiivka area.
And, laser finder
the situation in the town is extremely critical.
There are JDAMs which make a huge kaboom, and Russia has.
Because I remember people being quite hyped about the fact that he's sending new troops over there. Because apparently the brigade is very, very strong. I'm not sure how I feel.
We know the
about
Ukrainian 110th Mechanized Brigade has been withdrawn to the rear following the extreme costly battles that have continued
so much
since
reinforcements.
This is not a reinforcement
to a city
that I
we will
mentioned in
likely
the
need
previous
to
videos.
pull out of
this
anyways.
is rotating. That 110th was rotated to the back because they had been taking considerable losses, and instead of 110th, we now have the 3rd Assault Brigade moving into Avdiivka, changing their positions with the 110th.
Russia is nowhere near done yet.
I'm saying this again, I'm saying this too much maybe per this video, but a fighting retreat needs to happen really fast. We know that the Ukraine's elite 3rd Assault Brigade has entered the fight as reinforcements.
Yeah, it's like
I
true.
would not call this reinforcements,
it's like
but a rotation. A rotation that
a
didn't happen
hard
for 6
line
months.
to be following over how much positive you want to be about it, how much negative you want to be about it.
The biggest enemy for the Ukrainian army
personally, here's the thing, okay? I'm GG with celebrating their losses, and also, I know as mentioned that like thinking Caesar isn't gonna change the course of this war. I'm aware it's not gonna change the course of this war. I still think it's good to celebrate every single loss that Russians take. When it comes to analyzing how the frontline situation actually is going to change, it's a different thing. And in that one, especially when making predictions, I feel predictions shouldn't be made really.
Kamikaze drones. Russia began actively attacking Avdiivka on October 3rd.
But I feel
so
when we talk about
began on October 3rd, so October, November, December,
the
January and February. It's 4.5 to 5 months.
Of the attacks on the Russian positions, well, it's okay to
and according to military expert
be
Alexander
positive
Kovalenko,
about
based on
the
data, so
numbers, even if
losses,
you have
Russia
to keep
lost
aware that they will not change the lines on the map.
Assaulting Avdiivka and most of the convoys going to Avdiivka, which is the size of a tank division. In addition,
Dobson is streaming. Hey, we're gonna go to Dobson. We're gonna go to Dobson. I do have to end the stream very, very
losses
soon.
in the dead of that section are 15,000 people, plus
I
food
got
aid.
and
That is a
really,
conservative
really
number indeed.
soon.
I would think more. Now Ukraine has a new chief of staff, General Zyrski, who is much more aggressive than Zaluzhny was. Zaluzhny was more balanced. And Zaluzhny always thought about fighting retreats and saving manpower. Now Zyrski was
You wanna go watch Destiny? What's Destiny doing?
Chief of staff, and we were expecting more
I haven't
aggressive
watched
actions,
him
but
recently.
He changed his rhetoric.
He's been really into researching Israel,
The initiative is on
Palestine.
the Russian side. There is fog.
Not enough into
and
researching
Avdiivka needs
Russia
to
and
be
Ukraine, and I
pulled
liked
out
him
of.
when
So
he was
Zyrski
researching Russia
actually
and Ukraine.
has changed his,
So I'm hoping he comes back.
Tactics. The rhetoric of the new chief
he
of
ignores
staff
all
of
these
armed
YouTube
forces
experts.
changed
Oh, definitely.
quickly,
I'm pretty sure
and
they
now
don't even
he
know
is
they
saying
exist.
exactly what Zaluzhny said before him, that Ukraine
our
must be on
opinions
the defensive going
shouldn't
forward.
matter. They don't matter.
Now
They
let's take
shouldn't matter,
another
definitely.
change that Chief of Staff Syrski has made ever since he became the Chief
He
of
says
Staff.
Ukraine is strategically preserving ammo and it's all part of a bigger plan.
About 300 to 500 troops were holding back.
Dobson gets a
10,000
bit more
Russians,
positive
not
than I
holding
do.
back, but tying them up, not being able to move the
That's
other
true.
folks like
He's a bit more
Avdiivka.
positive than I
Syrski
am.
has decided to send reinforcements into that
But also I
area,
understand
doubling
it.
down on that small
I
bridgehead.
I
Now
see
it's
where he's
incredibly
coming from, you know
difficult
what I
to
mean?
hold the position, like Avdiivka, also Krinky, surrounded
It's
by
called
three
naive, yeah,
sides,
maybe that's
and the
true.
Russian glide
Yeah,
bombs
in
are
another way I
wreaking
see it.
havoc,
It's like
causing huge
he's a
Ukrainian
live streamer.
losses, but Syrski is doubling down, sending more and more
Sounds-
troops across the river to hold that. It's much like
But like,
Stalingrad. Well, the
Man's
Soviets
a
only
live
had a small
streamer,
bridge
alright?
with
He's doing
500
his
troops
job
across the
in a
river. Only
country
Ukrainians are not
that's
taking
war
that big
torn.
of losses.
And then he
But in a
comes
way,
back
Stalingrad,
home. He
that
does
they
some
are
live streaming, and
occupying
man
or
wants to be
tying
chilling,
down
right?
huge
Man wants to
portions
be
of
kind of
Russian
chilling.
capabilities in the south that Russia could use elsewhere.
He's in the Israel arc.
otherwise.
Interesting
And if
for
you
me
can
as
do
an
that with
Israeli.
500
Hey, what do you
troops and
think?
tie up 10,000,
What do you
it's
think
job
about
well
Destiny's
done.
views?
Unfortunately, losses
As
are
an
huge
Israeli, do you
for
think he's
Ukraine
proper?
in Krinky. Another big change General Syrski has
Because
done,
I keep
and
on.
is the
I watch
change in
his YouTube
stockpiling
videos. I don't really watch
modern
his live
howitzer
streams.
rounds. Zaluzhny's tactic was very balanced. We stockpile
I
rounds,
thought he
and when
was
we have
rather
enough, we're gonna make a
okay.
counteroffensive. Now, the 2023 summer
I thought he was
counteroffensive for
rather
Ukrainians
okay.
was a painful
He
lesson and
sometimes
almost
goes a
failure.
bit.
So now Zaluzhny had been up until now against
I mean, it's usual
stockpiling
Destiny,
shells
isn't
to do
it?
another great offensive. But
He
Syrski
goes
immediately
really
changed
aggressive
that tactic, and
sometimes.
while going to active
And it makes me
defense,
go
he
a little
now
bit
has
like,
allowed
ooh.
to be
But then
used
also,
all of these
it's fucking
stockpile
Destiny. We
shells
wouldn't be
for
watching him if
defense.
we didn't
More
like
motor
a very
action,
aggressive
more howitzer action.
man
This means there will
explain
not
the
be a
situation.
big Ukrainian counteroffensive anytime soon,
But,
this means they can defend better, demilitarizing
Yeah, I think
more
most of his
battles.
views have been alright
So
so
I do
far.
agree with this.
At least from what I've
Syrski's
seen.
doctrine change because you cannot stockpile munitions if your soldiers
ChatGPT.
need them to survive and
To be fair, I've been doing that.
Right now. Now, my friends,
I mean,
wanna
listen,
talk a
the
little
way I
bit
see
about
it, it's
Ukraine
like,
funding from the US.
did you ever
because
Google
the Senate
medical
approved the funding,
advice?
of course, but probably the House
If you
won't
did,
approve it,
ChatGPT is
and
basically
they will
that.
obstruct it or however
It's
you
like
call
AI
it, but,
art, isn't it? I've
the
heard
House
someone
is led by a Republican, so they don't really want to
explain-
do this right now, so it probably won't go through. But I just want to open up where previous United
I've seen
States
someone
aid
explain
in
recently
billions has
AI
gone
art
to, because
as
there's a big
basically it's looking into all of
misconception
the
among people, especially in
results
the
that you
US,
get when you
the
Google
money will go
search
to
something,
Ukraine, that
and then it just
Zelensky's
like mushes
corrupt
them
and they're
together.
stealing the money. Now I'll open
And that's
up
also what
is
like
really happening with the money,
ChatGPT
so we
is,
are on the
just
same
in
page.
text form, right?
Appropriate Ukraine
You
funding
ask him
actually
something,
includes
you ask him,
50
hey,
billion
why
that
do I
is
have a
spent
lump on
in
my
the US, so
titty?
spent physically in United
And
States
he
to
Googles
procure
that,
weapons
or like
and
goes
increase
research
production,
results for
creating
that,
and
and then he
manufacturing
takes
jobs.
all
These
of them and
maps
he mushes them
depict
into
just
one
a portion
message.
of the sum, and do not reflect
I
either
think,
total
yeah, I
defense
think it's like a
spending by
faster way
state
to
or
Google.
total
I would
amount
recommend
spent on
Perplexity though if
procurement
you're
and
using it.
investment since February 2022.
I would recommend
But
Perplexity.
I would read them to you because
Yeah,
if you're
Perplexity
from
has
one of these
quality
states, then
control,
you know
so
that this money
that
from
one's
the
better
Ukraine
for like
money
serious
bill
shit.
that for some
ChatGPT
people,
is good for
unfortunately, is like Zelensky's corruption money.
like
Actually,
I
this is the
do
numbers
stuff
that
sometimes
have
with
been
him. I
already
bully him. I
spent
like
in these
copy
states.
song
The top
lyrics and then I make him
recipient
write
states of
them
those
to me
contracts
in like
and Ukraine aid money
medieval
are
style or some
Arkansas,
shit like that,
Kansas,
and then I'm having fun
2.3
learning
billion,
new words.
Arizona,
That's what I do to it.
Pennsylvania 1.9 billion, California 1.5
Recently I
billion,
was playing
Texas,
Elder Scrolls
1.4 billion,
Online,
Florida
and I asked ChatGPT to write me a story using Elder Scrolls Online characters, and he actually wrote it, and it was like, all right, he knows the lore and everything. So do something like that. Do something like that. Don't actually ask it for serious shit. Use Perplexity for serious shit.
And it's part of the Ukraine aid bill. The top per capita recipient states are, so per person, Arkansas $770, West Virginia $500, Arizona $280, Iowa $239,
Destiny learns about Palestine conflict in 2 weeks.
New Hampshire,
No, the Destiny bros are like soy facing. Oh my god, relax. I think the problem is
Mississippi 115.
He has been doing this shit for a very long time. Destiny is a god of presenting his opinions in a way that makes them sound absolutely and completely true.
Showing how United States is benefiting.
Which is why, like, personally, I'm trying to, when I learn about some new topic, I'm trying not to watch Destiny for a while. When the October 7th attack happened, I remember seeing Destiny videos recommended to me. And I like intentionally refused to watch them because I was like, no, if I hear the man talk, he's gonna be very persuasive. Whatever he says, I'm gonna just take it. I'm gonna accept it. But it turns out that, yeah, we do have relatively similar opinions when it comes to that, so...
Now, my friends, I'll show you an interesting
I feel like we're based on that.
Coincides with Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Oh no, he was also very good on Russia-Ukraine overall. He was quite good on that. He was good on the Russian invasion. I felt he was also good on Israel-Palestine.
Hundreds of billions in natural gas.
But yeah, I do feel like it's smart to not watch him. Or streamers overall, really. If there's a new topic going on, like I wouldn't want you, for example, to learn about Avdiivka from me and to just take my opinions. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want you to take any sort of opinions from the streamer you watch. I know I'm not really the type of a streamer that you would copy in your opinions. Maybe someone like Dylan would be more like that, because I do. If I hear Dylan saying something, he also tends to be very persuasive because he knows a lot. So he has a formed opinion on something. I'm like, yeah, this is true. I don't form my own. I just like take his because I trust him to be true. It's smart to try to avoid that.
And extracting of these minerals and these
it's quite smart to avoid that.
Because of war right now, but if they
it's
were
smart to
to
not
be
do
extracted,
that.
whoever is extracting them is gaining immensely. And right now, since
like
Russia
try to
occupies
do your own
Crimea,
research and then watch live
stealing
streamers
this natural
talking
gas
about this
from Ukraine. Not
maybe.
that they have,
Yeah, I thought Dylan was
deficit of it. They have a
30
lot
some
in Russia, but
35
they
the
want
first
more.
time I saw him.
Now, my friends, my favorite part of the video, which is
I was like, look at this grown-ass man
patronizing
streaming on
my
twitch.tv.
possible Estonian pronunciation. It sounds
Someone
like
in chat, you know,
saying your
I
name
remember
with
the
a
first time.
shopping
By the way, I have to leave. I remember the first time I learned he was that young, because someone in his chat was like, wow, Dylan is so mature for his age. And I was like, what do you mean mature? Man's in his 30s. Like, he's supposed to be mature. That's a grown-ass man. And someone was like, no, he was like 21, I think, at a point. And I was like, what? The fuck? He gives me existential crisis sometimes. You know when you watch videos of like Ukrainians and then there's like 18-year-olds who volunteer to do their education and go to the front line? Would I have done that when I was 18? Would I have traveled to over an entire fucking ocean to another goddamn continent in the middle of a war to do reporting when I was like 21, 22? How old was Dylan when he first came here? I don't know if I would. It gives me an existential crisis fully. Oh, I am talking about women. I'm talking about women. It's often, it's like, oh yeah, look at this woman. She was, she's a sniper. The last one that I've thought, she actually is like a sniper. She volunteered to be a medic and then she went into snipers and she volunteered when she was 18. Would I have done that when I was 18? No, not that. Would I do that now? I don't know. Oh yeah, in coding, I actually asked a friend, because I'm planning to start coding soon. I'm planning to start an education on web programming soon. And I asked a friend, I was like, hey, what do you think? What do you think about like the AI and how it's going to impact coding? Like, do you think it's going to replace people? And what he told me basically is that when you are properly educated, So you can't do this if you have no expertise in coding. When you have expertise, he has found it really useful to use AI, but you have to know to read what the AI gives you, and you have to know how to fix the bullshit that it gives you. Because sometimes it gives you like really good ideas, but then in the middle of the code he fucks up. Or he makes up something completely different. Or he uses like a completely different programming language. He basically fucks up quite regularly. If you have experience in coding and you know how to fix this, AI is a great tool because it's faster. It just creates your faulty code. You fix the faulty code, you're good. But if you don't have experience, you will not know how to recognize these mistakes. And then at that point, you might just write the code yourself, because going through every single line of code that the AI has given you, and then, trying to figure out what needs to be fixed and what doesn't, is like way too much time. But also, I wanted to show you Perplexity. I want to show you Perplexity because I recommend it to you if you want to use AI seriously and not use it in dumb ways. Wait, I'm in the wrong browser. Look, this is Perplexity. I think I've asked him about prostate massages last. So, I asked him about vasectomy. What was this? I'm not even gonna click on this. I'm not showing you what I asked him, okay? I don't know what I asked him. I use him as Google, but worse. But what you do with Perplexity is you ask him some shit. Like, what's the likelihood of Russia using a nuke in space? Because it's a new topic, right? You ask him that. What he does is he does give you an AI-like answer. The reason I like this one is because he gives you sources. You want to use this one for proper shit. He gives you sources. He gives you exactly the things where he got shit in. As usual with AIs, you shouldn't trust it fully because it is an AI. So you shouldn't don't take anything for granted. Sometimes I check on these sources and he says a different thing than what is in the source. He is improving, but Did you tell your boyfriends? Nah, I mean, I googled it. I saw a man talking about how slapping his balls. It was one of the Joe Rogan people. He talked about, he made a joke. Not a joke really, but he was talking about this experience he had, which was a friend of his sending him a video of him slapping his balls when he got out of the shower. He was like, yeah, my friend sent me this video of himself, slapping his balls. And he was like, yeah, this helps you with better sperm quality. So then I tried it and it worked. And I wanted to be like, imagine if the friend actually sent him a video of himself massaging his prostate. I wonder if that would have worked too, but it would be way weirder, right? And then I googled, I went to Perplexity and I was like, hey, does prostate massage help with anything? Could I sell it to QAnon people? And Perplexity was like, yep. There's a misinformation that prostate massage actually helps. It doesn't. The only way prostate massage can help you is the same way that slapping your balls can help you. It's because you go into these parts and you may feel lumps that are tumors. So if you have tumors, you're gonna feel them on time and you're gonna go to your doctor on time and they're going to be able to fix that. It doesn't work in any other way. It doesn't help with anything else, genuinely. It's just that you're trying if there's something weird, and if there's something weird, go to a doctor. So, fun fact, I guess. Using geopolitics is probably the worst subject to use AI. Oh, definitely. Oh, it reminds me of, how was the thing? Pekka did an experiment with one AI on this. He asked AI what are the biggest misinformation pushers, and AI gave him his own account. And it's because Pekka has done a debunking thread on some misinformation, but the AI is not smart enough to know that you debunked this misinformation. AI sees your account and sees it mentioned flat earth, for example. It can't know that you said flat earth bad. It just knows, you, flat earth, And then it counts you as a propagandist. Don't fuck with massively in commercial courses, which does not care at all and won't help if you do not self-educate after. Outsource, avoid Ukraine, slash jobs, generally by state industry falls. Oh, that's understandable. Look, it's gonna work for me. Ball slap pervert, prostate pervert, gay. That beautiful son. Why say many words when less words do trick? Having someone suck your balls daily to check for you. That could work. That could work. Sell it to one of the Joe Rogan people. Trump bucks? What's the Trump bucks? Trump supporters scammed by novelty items, Trump bucks. One woman spent $2,000, it said. $2,200. I should do that. Why aren't we doing that? Can we do that? Bro, they're so dumb. Someone should start one of those phishing emails, but you go like, hey, I'm Trump. Can't access my money. Send me some to my account so I can become the president of America once again. Like, I feel it would work. I feel it would work. Dumfuck's going for Western dollars after economy fails and losing jobs. Just to see you compete with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of same dumfucks. Hey, but to be fair, there's a lot of job openings, so like, it could work. It could work. I mean, look, I know here that we have lots of new companies opening, which are looking for workers in the field. Now, I don't know how well it's going elsewhere. Not too late for OnlyFans. Trump's gonna make his own only. Oh my man! Imagine if he makes like only Trumps or something. I would kill to see that. He definitely is gonna make that, and it's gonna be like all his family members. He's already making weird incestual comments towards his daughter. Oh, I could totally imagine him doing that. Also, I have to go. BB with Russian hookers. Not even gonna make the comments of them probably being too old for him. I have to go though. It's 9:11. I have to go. I have to eat and I have to go to sleep and I have to take a shower and then I have to work tomorrow. Ivanka, if she ever in her life makes an OnlyFans, ever in her existence she makes an OnlyFans, she doesn't even have to post anything on it. She makes it. Trump's gonna be subbed to that shit immediately. It's gonna take 3 seconds. She's gonna open it and immediately it's gonna be like 2 notifications. One is gonna be like OnlyFans, hey, we confirm you have opened your account. And the second is gonna be like, hey, we confirm Donald Trump has subscribed to your account. Like the highest fucking tier. The highest fucking tier, I swear to God. He is the very personification of weirdness when it comes to that. Vicky would sign up for sure. She's not my type. Melania though. Maybe for Melania. She also seems to hate Trump really. I feel Melania would be fun to chat with. I feel she would be, you know. You would go to OnlyFans and it wouldn't even be anything like sexual or something. You could just access a private chat with her where she would be talking shit about Trump. Like a group chat little thing. And we would all be like, Ivanka, Melania, tell us something. And she would be like, yeah, he sucks in bed. And we would go, yeah. Probably a shit person too. Proper discrimination against Slovenians. Proper discrimination. I can confirm that they tend to be quite, I don't want to say shitty people. They tend to like money a lot. Which is actually good because Slovenia is very good as a country overall. They tend to chase improvement when it comes to that, and they're doing great, to be honest. Slovenia is doing great. Like, I'm jealous of Slovenia. Ukraine is 16th rating of countries with teen pregnancy. Oh! Who's one? Who's... Where did you find that? Who's number one? Which number is Croatia? I feel we should be bad. I feel we should be bad because we keep on bitching about having less and less and less kids in the country. We're dying off as a nation. So I feel we should be bad. I feel we should be having 0. Some of the lowest in the world. I don't know what we have. Yeah, I have to go. I have to go. I have to go. I have to go. Trends, and then it's USA. Oh, here's the trends of it. In USA states. Who the fuck cares about it? USA is just one. See, like there's proper one. Adolescent birth rate in women aged 10 to 19 years. Okay, Croatia going properly. Hey, you guys are actually doing alright. You guys are doing alright. Croatia doing fine. Croatia doing fine. Hey, India is doing great actually. Look at them. Look, I'm feeling like our success though needs to be recognized. Notice Croatia. If you observe the map, I can't zoom in anymore. If you observe the map, this is Croatia. By the way, I don't know if you knew about it. This was Croatia. It looks like a little dragon. Croatia is doing well on this. You know how often we do well? We never do well. This is great. Foreign volunteers can be Slovak, Slovenian, Serb, for example, and also have 3 colors flag. Basically, think before beating and killing. But Serbs have the coat of arms. Serbs, I mean, they all have coat of arms. You wouldn't confuse them. It's like confusing a Croat for a Dutch person. You wouldn't confuse them. You know. You would notice that when it comes to the flags, they are some have. No, look, we're good. See, we're yellow. You know, yellow is the best because yellow is always the best. And we're the best. Look at us. And then everyone else, loser. Everyone else, loserish. Oh, their stats down. I knew that. Oh, the overall trend in Europe has been a decrease in total fertility rate. Coat of arms may be missing or unnoticed on small military patches. Oh shit, that makes sense. Romania and Bulgaria. Why did they go through some of them and then they don't go through the other ones? Like, why are the Dutch getting their own little part, but we aren't? How does that even make sense? Why aren't we getting our own little part? I want our own little part. Country, give me Croatia. No, this is useless. There's no Croatia. Oh, I should go to show. I knew that. Listen. It's late. I need to go to sleep. I don't use ChatGPT. I mean, I use him to write me stories. I don't use him for actual research. I wonder if you asked ChatGPT actually about this. Wait. What's the anti-leaders of reproduction rate? Holy shit. That's that's a role to take. Okay, Bulgaria. They see some other European states up there. I didn't, right? USA. Oh shit, USA in company with Bulgaria. Let me ask. Which European country has the highest rate of teen pregnancies? Ah, he knows. He knows. You think he knows the lowest too? I was like, he's gonna be wrong and it's gonna be funny. Let's check the lowest. Maybe he doesn't know that, I assume, because that would be harder to find, right? Switzerland? I mean, of course, who's fucking in Switzerland? It's Switzerland, it's boring there. I feel like Switzerland would also have like the lowest level of like pregnancy rates overall. It's goddamn Switzerland. Other European countries with low rates of teen pregnancies include Luxembourg, Slovenia, Finland, Italy, and Netherlands. Ask about top 20. Ask it why. We just go why. Can he understand? He can. He can understand it. Now I'm asking him a lot of questions. I feel like we've gone to the dark path of trusting this creature. Do we want to trust him? Lowest reproduction. What are the European countries with the highest and the lowest reproduction rate? Let me see. France has the highest fertility rate. Czechia, Romania, and Ireland are the other ones, and then the lowest are Andorra, San Marino, and Malta. Spain, Italy, and Cyprus are also low. Bro. What's the average? $153? Damn, that seems a bit high. We barely know it's true. True. Yeah, abortion rates. What do we think about abortion rates? Yeah, I also think I saw someone say that like Russia is very high on that. French fertility rate by ethnicity. You think he can? I mean, actually, let's test it. I want to test it. I don't know if he can do that. Highest England and Wales, Sweden, lowest Switzerland and Slovakia. He doesn't count Russia as European. I'm based. Give me the fertility rates of all ethnicities in France. Nah, Swiss. Who would fuck a Swiss? Have you ever met a Swiss person? You did. You forgot. Because they're Swiss. It's like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's just a Swiss person. They're like not really fun. There's nothing to discriminate them against, you know? When it comes, you meet a Serb, you can immediately be like, okay, war criminal. Slovenian, okay, money hungry. Swiss? What, chocolate? Likes chocolate? That's that. What else? They have nothing else. They're not fun. You wouldn't want to fuck a Swiss person. Swiss don't want to fuck each other. 1.9 children per woman. Nice. Immigrant women are having a higher fertility rate than native-born French women. The births of immigrant women only increased the French fertility rate by 0.1 children, from 1.8 to 1.9, as they represented only 19% of all births in France at the time. Oh damn, that's interesting. I never saw it represented like that. Immigrant women 2.6 children per woman, native-born French women 1.8 children per woman. High fertility rate in France is not solely due to immigration, but rather because of the high fertility among native-born women. Yeah, that makes sense. Like 1.8 is already better than many other countries have. That's actually cool. That's actually cool. I like this. I like this. Thank you for researching this with me. That was actually great. I have to leave. I actually... Shit, you can go through regions. I actually have to leave. But we'll be streaming tomorrow afternoon. So, yeah. do I have to leave the street? I feel ChatGPT would be better on that. By the way, I have to show you one thing on Perplexity. I have to show you one thing on Perplexity. Look at this. Look at this. It has focus, and then you can choose that he only gives you like Reddit sources. So you can be like, what's the fertility rate of French women? And you look it up, and he's only giving me Reddit sources right now. And then I can see like all of the most popular Reddit threads where someone was asking this or talking about this or discussing this, and I can just like look into what Reddit is saying. It's ridiculous. I like it for like fandoms. If I'm like when I was researching Teamfight Tactics meta for the new season, I looked this up because it was actually giving me Reddit of like losers who play the game all the time, and then I can read what they think. But maybe don't use it for like serious shit, unless you want to like get like geopolitical opinions from Redditors. I guess there's a whole niche of that, so you could do that. You could do that. Hey, yeah, Lionel, thank you very much. Test sliding funny features, so it's computer. Yeah, it's really fun. I like doing this. Just don't trust it too much, okay? And don't ask it for health advice. There's already an AI you can ask for health advice. It's called your fucking doctor. Go to your fucking doctor. See you tomorrow. Stay strong. Go bully Thompson. Go bully Thompson. I'll be bullying him after I finish my shower. So you have to bully him before